Hi, chat.
Hi, Linkus.
Hi, chat. How are y'all doing today? I hope you guys are doing good.
Congratulations.
Linkus, where am I from? I am from Sweden. Hi, everybody. How are y'all doing? Hope you guys are doing good.
Congrats at the marriage, Linkus Pagging.
Thank you for the congrats, chat. It's good to be back. It is good to be back.
Hi, Linkus and Chet Linkus. Hey.
It's good to see y'all.
Congratulations, Linkus.
You're stuck on a permanent ad? I can't help you with that. I did not touch nothing. I just went live. How am I doing today? I'm doing good, you know? I feel, you know, like... I feel good. Congrats on the wedding. I saw the photo on Twitter a couple of days ago. Hope that you both had a great time and got a fantastic start of your wedding life. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I will definitely share with you all some photos. Once we get them. We don't have all of our photos yet. I will, by the way, say a quick thing. Absolute Giga Chad, the photographer. I'll catch y'all up on what happened before we get into the Link's Awakening speedruns. But, like, the photographer was a PogChamp. Just quick thing about those photos I posted. So they're absolutely not my, like, favorite photos. But I was gonna say, it was kind of a giga chat. I went to the photographer and I was like, hey, just a quick question, like, how long do you think the photos are gonna take? And she was like, well, we want to make sure, we want to, like, edit all of them, so we want to make sure, like, you know, we color correct every single photo and make sure that all the lighting and exposure and everything is perfect in every photo before we send it to you, and cropping and everything is perfect. So it's gonna take, like, a week or two at least. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be, like, a really dumb question, but is there any way that you can, like, within the next hour, send me just, like, 2 photos or something from just me and Maisie looking pretty? Because I want to post it on my social media. And she was like, okay, I have never done that before, but I think this camera has Wi-Fi, so you can send photos from the camera to your phone. So I'll have to look into it. And then she came back to me 30 minutes later and she was like, I got 2 photos, sent over to my phone, give me your phone number and I can send it to you. And then later, the photographer was like, by the way, like, why did you want to post it on social media? Like, what's up? Like, why did you want to post that? And I was like, well, you know, like, I play video games for a living. And she was like, oh, what do you play? And then I'm used to this question because anytime they say that, they ask that, I say that it's like Nintendo games and Zelda, and they're like, oh. Anyways, so I'm like, I play Nintendo games professionally. It's like, oh, which one? And I say Zelda, and she's like, oh. Her husband's a fan. The photographer's husband is a fan. So that was Pog. That was Pog. Congrats on gaming and marriage at the same time. Thank you. I appreciate it. I am going to say that this is going to be the first time in my life that I'm going to try not to speedrun. I'm going to make that. I should have included that as part of my vows. But I'm going to try to not speedrun the vows. Speedrun the marriage.
Congrats, Linkus and Maisie
Whatever.
Linkus.
Thank you, 7buddy for the 47 months. Thank you, Metros, for the 32. Thank you, Sman, for the 51 and for the shout out. Thank you, Zaka, for the prime sub. Thank you, Hippie, for the 5 months. Thank you, Andrew, for the 38 months. Thank you, Julian, for the 49. Thank you, Hollow, for the 3. Thank you, War, for the 28. Thank you, everybody, so much. I appreciate it. Anyways, chat. You painted the wall behind you? Okay, no, I just need to set up the lighting properly. But I cleaned the whole house right before everyone got here. So everything is set up and the shelf is centered finally. So things are looking up. Things are starting to get set up. We're starting to get there. Anyways. But yeah, either way. Starting to get the life together. But anyways, chat. Thank you for the congrats. Before, I think that I know a lot. I know how this works. Okay, I've been a streamer for long enough to know that every time I go live, you all ask, when are you gonna start playing games? So I'm just gonna tell you this right now. For once in my life, I'm gonna just tell you right now, I'm gonna start the stream by telling you my wedding stories, and then we're starting. All right, I think it's fair. I think it's valid, okay? I think it's very valid to share some stuff, all right? To share some moments. So, let me start another playlist, because currently it's just Link's Awakening playing in the background, and I have been listening to this music now for like half an hour. I don't think I can take this anymore. So I'm gonna put on an actual like Zelda playlist or something, so I can stop listening to the song on loop, because I don't know how much more of this looped song I can take. You know what? I'm gonna do my old classic playlist I used to do. Even though it's not Zelda, I'm gonna do it. It's time for the classic Pokemon playlist. Anyways. So, chat. But yeah, anyways, yeah. So, about a week ago was the last time I streamed, right? I headed off. My whole family came to the United States. And it was, you know, it was my mom, my dad, my 2 brothers, and my cousin came to visit from Sweden. They were for a couple of days before. There's something really too important that happens. I'll just explain this to you. To summarize the first 3 days, basically, of them being here, I was just being like a tourist host again. Because, you know, I would like to... Have you ever had family visit you and you like have moved away from your family? So you feel like when they visit for the first or second time, you have to like be a host and do the tourist stuff. You know, like imagine that your family's from like a small town place and you move to New York, for example, right? If you were to do that, obviously if they come and visit, you would have to like take them to, you know, like see some things around, you know what I mean? And obviously my family's from Sweden, so when they come and see Texas, they want to see not just Texas stuff, but US stuff. So, you would think at this point that I'm finally done with this grind. But no, because my family loves to space out who comes and visit. I love them to death, but come on, bro. So, you know, the first time it was my mom and my dad, so I had to show them all the stuff. Thank you, Gilded, for the 5 gifties. I appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, you know. And then the second time, my parents came to visit again. And I was like, oh, finally, every day is not filled up with doing touristy stuff. The third time, my brother came, so I had to do all the touristy stuff. And now the 4th time, my other brother came visit for the first time, my cousin. So the first 3 days is me just doing all the stuff you would imagine, right? I'm taking them, which, by the way, can I say something funny? As an American, you're going to be like, what? I asked my brothers, right? My brother and my cousin hadn't been to the US before. What was the main things they wanted to see? Because we have a limited amount of time, so I want to make sure they can see what they want to see. The number one thing that my cousin said he wanted to do is he wanted to at least twice go to Walmart and Target and have unlimited time to walk through there. I don't know why, but that was like his wish list. His wish list was that he wanted to take his sweet time to walk through all of Target and all of Walmart. Sure. Okay. All right. My brother, he mostly has said that he wanted to, like, you know, just like have proper Texas barbecue and try some of the fast food places that, you know, like he's seen online, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. So anyways, do that for the first 3 days. Fourth day comes around. We're now on Thursday, right? Thursday comes around, and this is when the first day is supposed to happen for the wedding. This is the rehearsal. So, I'm supposed to meet everybody up at the rehearsal at 2 p.m. Sorry, I'm misspeaking. I'm supposed to meet everyone up at the rehearsal at 6 p.m. So obviously I show up 20 minutes late at 6:20. So I show up to the rehearsal 20 minutes late. I show up to the rehearsal 20 minutes late at 6:20, and we go through, you know, like the whole rehearsal, everything like that, and then we head back to our house. So all of our friends, we bring them back to the house, like a group of about 15, 20 people, so they can see our house. And it was very nice. We had a great time. Every single Californian were basically screaming in the top of their lungs that we brought for two reasons. One, they were like, "Are you kidding me? Gas is $2.50." All the Californians were screaming two things. One was that gas is like $2.50 a gallon. And the second thing was like just like how cheap everything is, you know? So like I'm not gonna put any numbers out there, but I think A-Truck put it perfectly. A-Truck, when we talked about it, right? A-Truck recently bought a house, and me and Macy recently bought a house, right? And my house that we have is a third of the price, but it's double in terms of size. And we have a big backyard. So, you know, like in terms of like value, it's like 6 times, you know, what you get in LA, you know what I mean? So they were like mind blown by the, you know, by our house, you know, because we have like a 3,000 square feet home, because Texas homes are like so dirt cheap, right? So we have this like 3,000 square foot home, and, you know, here are these Californians coming in, you know, like these, you know, like 1,500 square feet, you know? But anyways, we have a great time. We're really trying to sell them in Texas, and just trying to turn these darn Californians to be true Texans, you know? Just trying to turn the tables around. But here's where we're coming into our first part of the wedding part of it. So, there's an ad playing. Don't worry, I'm really good at holding a suspenseful break. Thank you, Sasha, for the 42 months. Thank you, Dukas, for the 1 year. Thank you, Tibek, for the 2 months. Thank you, Rex, for the 500. Appreciate it. Okay, anyways, so we get back to my house. Okay, we get back to my house. It is now 8. It's around 9 p.m. the night before my wedding. And they start asking some questions. And all of our friends are starting to notice something. One, I have not written a word of my vows for the next day. I haven't even started at all when it comes to starting my vows. So we're at the night before, and I haven't touched my vows. And second of all, I forgot to test to make sure that the clothes I picked up 3 weeks ago for the wedding even fit. So I don't even know if the clothes I picked out are actually good. And 3rd, I am fighting them on when to arrive to the wedding. Because Maisie's getting there like 9 a.m. to start her makeup and hair and everything. And the wedding is supposed to start at 5 p.m. And they want me there at 2 p.m. And I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna get there. Why do I have to be there at 2 p.m.? That's 3 hours before the wedding. Are you kidding me? That's such a time loss. And the wedding, the wedding planner is like, you have to get, like, the latest is 2 p.m., you know? So I'm kind of going back and forth, fighting, not actually fighting, but, like, arguing back and forth with Maisie. And she's like, okay, you know what? Fine. If you think it's too big of a time loss, you may arrive at 3 p.m., but no later than 3 p.m., because there needs to be a lot of pictures taken before the wedding starts, and you need to get dressed and everything. And I'm like, okay, fine. You know what? That's a compromise. It's an hour time save. I'll get there at 3 p.m. So we keep like the hangout going here, and then everybody leaves. It's now Thursday night. So about 3 a.m. starts, and I am like, oh shit, I still haven't written my vows. So I get to my PC at 3 a.m. the night before my wedding, and I start finally typing up the vows, right? So like I type up the vows finally, like 3 to 5 a.m. whatever, like 3 to 4 a.m. I finally type up the vows, and it's awesome, right? Type it up, Giga Chat. And then I do some other stuff. I'm really tired because I'm drinking a lot of coffee, and I go to sleep. I wake up, and then I'm just so comfortable in bed that I may oversleep. I might have overslept. So you remember how recap, the wedding organizer wants me there at noon. I pushed her to agree to 2 p.m. Then I pushed Macy to agree to let me get there at 3 p.m. Well, I show up at 3:45. So I'm 45 minutes late on top of the 3 p.m. So I get there at 3:45, like an hour before the wedding. But I will say, okay, with all the pictures and getting dressed there and everything like that, I was done at 4:50, 10 minutes to spare. So in my opinion, I was perfectly optimal. That is an optimal time. It's just like how I do at the airport. I like to show up to the airport 10 minutes before boarding starts. That's the optimal time to show up to things. You never show up more than 10 to 15 minutes before. So I clutched it. I perfectly timed it. It was basically a PB, okay? So perfectly optimal. Now, I get to the wedding. I'm sorry. I'm skipping ahead. I get to the room, and now we are sitting, and it's currently like 4:30 p.m. We're 30 minutes from, like the actual ceremony starting. And and one of my best man, weird words. I always forget that it's not all best men. It's one best man and the groomsman. But anyways, my best man, he asks me something. He goes, so where did you decide to stay the night after, like the wedding? And I'm like, oh my God, my wedding is starting in 30 minutes and I haven't booked the hotel. Oh shit. I haven't booked the hotel and it's starting in 30 minutes. Oh shit. So I quickly rush book everything on my phone in there, and then at this point, by the way, I gotta say, I'm not nervous at all. I'm like chilling. But after we've done that booking, right? this is when like the nerves start to kick in. I think anyone can agree, that can relate to this in some form in life. I wasn't nervous leading up to it, but once everything is done, I've sat down in a chair and they're like, okay, we're starting in 15 minutes, just be ready. And you're sitting there and you have 15 minutes to roll your thumbs. And it's like, that's when the stress started for me. I was sitting there and I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, can I get a glass of champagne? Can I get a glass of champagne? So I chugged 3 glasses of champagne in the last 15 minutes. Anyways, so we go out and everything is going perfect. And everybody loved my speech. I clutched up my vows so goddamn good. I basically got a standing ovation. I clutched that shit. It was amazing and everybody loved it. But then, oh no. Okay, so you know how a normal wedding goes, Chad? You know how usually at the very end, you put on the rings, and then it pretty much ends normally with a speech like this. Do you, Maisie, take Linus to be your something something? And they say, I do. And then they say, Linus, do you take Maisie to be your something something wife? And then you said, I do. And then that's the last thing in the whole thing. And then it says, you may not kiss the bride. Right? Do you all know what I'm talking about? Like, that's literally like, it's the two, it's like you say, I do, and then you kiss. It's like the very last thing. Okay. Okay, so I'm like kind of like emotional, right? I'm you know, like, and I'm like half spaced out, you know, like from like, it's like my emotions. And then Maisie says her thing, and then he looks to me and he says, repeat after me, Linus. And then he says, wait, I think I might actually have it. Wait, Maisie, I think afterwards they sent it to me. Hold on, let me see if I still have it. Hold on, let me cook. Maisie, didn't you send it to me? Is it on my phone? Hold on. Is it on Discord? Wait, hold on. I want to say this exactly right. Hold on. Maisie, where is it? Where did you send it? Found it. Okay. So, he turns to me and he says, repeat after me. Maisie, you are my life. My love. Remember, like, you know, like I'm repeating one thing at a time. So I'm doing it like, Maisie, you're my life. My love, my best friend. May this be a reminder of my love and the commitment that we made here this day. And then here comes the final part. The little last thing before we kiss. And it's official. And he goes, with this ring, and he says, I thee wed. And I go, and I literally freeze up. I look at him and I go, what? And he goes, I thee wed. And I freeze up again and I go, sorry, what? And he says, I thee wed. And I'm like, I must be mishearing this because there's no way he's saying I thee wet. That what? So I'm like, I literally am standing up through the ring and I'm like, I'm sorry, what? For a third time. And then someone in the crowd screams, it's like thee, but with 2 E's. First of all, what a stupid ass old English word. And I just say, I turn back to Maisie and I go, I the wed. And then the pastor cannot keep a straight face. He's like, maybe I should have made this a little bit more Swedish friendly and practiced this. And then I put on the ring and he goes, you may now kiss the bride. So the whole thing went perfect until literally the end. The whole thing was perfect. And then just the end. What the hell is that word, man? Why couldn't it have been an I do? Or here's the ring. Or like slay. Just anything. Anything normal. Why I thee? What the hell? Anyways, I got backseated by... No matter where I go in life, I'm getting backseated, okay? I thought I was, like, not gonna be backseated at my wedding because I wasn't streaming it. I was wrong, okay? No matter where the crowd is, even if it's online or in person, I'm getting backseated. But anyways, thankfully, this time it was good backseating. We did it, and it got done. According to H-Rock, we kissed a bit too much. I blame that completely on Maisie. I can't confirm. I was happy, so I'll let it happen. Anyways, and then we walked out, and then you know, things moved on. You know, and then you know, we had like a cocktail hour, and then after that, the reception, is that the word? I can never remember these words. Anyway, you know, like the whole thing with like, you know, like you eat and then, you know, you eat and then you have the speeches and then the dance floors. Yeah, so we have that, and everything goes okay. The only thing that I think stood out to me during this whole thing was that Aatrox had multiple times said, both in my chat and on his stream, that he was going to do a huge speech. And he'd been, like, upping the amount of time. So he was like, I'm going to give you a massive speech, Linkus. And he's like, Linkus, I'm going to give you a 40-minute speech at your wedding. And he has kept saying that. So after Maisie as dad had done his speech, I was like, wait, they forgot to do his speech. So I literally awkwardly, while Maisie is dancing with her dad, I sneak around the room to the DJ and I'm like, I'm sorry, you forgot a speech. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I think Abby, but also Brandon right there. He said he was going to have a speech. And then I sneak over to my place and I sit down. And then Abby does her speech, and then the DJ walks over to Brandon, taps on his shoulder and goes, yo, you're next. And then Brandon, apparently this whole time, he was just joking. Apparently he never planned to do a speech. It was just a meme on stream that he was going to do a long speech. So she taps him on his shoulder, and he's like, no, I'm not doing a speech. And then she walked back, and then after, you know, like Abby did her speech, she said, okay, is there anyone else that's supposed to do a speech? And I look straight at Brandon and I say super out loud so everyone can hear it, Brandon! And he looks at me and goes, no, in front of everybody. He completely donut-walled it. The whole time. He never had a speech. Anyways, the night goes on, and at this point, I know that I'm supposed to drive me and Maisie back to our hotel, so I only drank a little bit of champagne right at the start of the wedding. You know, the wedding is like hours long, and I basically chose to not really drink. You know, like, do you know what I mean when I say it this way? Like, I have a champagne glass, and anytime someone, like, did a speech and they say cheers, you'll have, like, one sip to socialize, but you're not actually drinking, right? So that's what I was doing throughout basically the whole time. Right, like after literally those 3 drinks before, because I know, like, because I knew that I had to drive us to our, because I don't know, maybe this sounds weird. I didn't want to call an Uber on our wedding night. I don't know, it felt weird. So I was like, I'm not going to drink so I can actually drive us. So anyway, so I chose not to drink. And then, like, about an hour and a half before we were supposed to be done, Maisie's dad walks up to me and Maisie, right, and goes, hey, just so you know, we're planning on going to like a honky-tonk bar after this. And I've invited all of your friends. You guys are coming, right? And I'm like, what? What? Holy, what? Are you what? And then I was like, and then Maisie was like, I'll have to go. And then I was like, all right, sure, I'll go. And like, you know, I was like, all right, sure. You know, we're in Texas. Why not? So then everybody decides, you know what? All right, you know what? Instead of going back to the hotel, we're going to go to the honky-tonk bar. So, after the wedding is done, it was beautiful. You know, we got pictures and all that stuff. I drove a bunch of us to the honky-tonk bar. And on the way there, I remember I was like, if I drink a lot, I'll leave the car parked here in the parking lot. If we don't drink a lot, then, you know, like, I might drive home. Keep that in mind. Anyways, so, definitely could not drive home. Anyways, so we go in there. And immediately, I gotta say, Texans are so sweet. For like, obviously, we walk up, everyone runs up and storms Maisie and is like, congratulations, congratulations. We got free entrance. We enter the place, and this is like the biggest. No, I would never drunk drive. So this is like the biggest bar you will have ever seen. You know, we go in there. It's the biggest bar ever, and it's like the biggest bar ever. There is like step dancing in the middle, all southern music. There is a mechanical bull. The bartenders run up and start throwing napkins like it's raining from the sky when they see Maisie. Like it's like making it rain with the napkins. And like we're like, holy shit. Okay, so you know. And then because you know like it's my wedding night, first, it starts by all of my friends being like, here, Linkus, let me buy you a drink. Hey, Linkus, let me buy you a drink, right? So I start drinking. Maisie, at this point, she's been drinking since 9 in the morning. So she's actually like, you know what? I don't want to drink more. So she's sobering up, right? So I just keep drinking. I keep dancing with everybody. I'm having a great time, right? I'm just dancing around. Then, randomly, the bouncer comes up to us. And I'm like, oh, no. What did they do? Oh no, what did they do? And I see that he's like the bouncer, like this, he's like a really big southern dude with a massive beard and a cowboy hat working. Like he's the bouncer. And I'm like, oh no, what did they do, man? So I walk up to this. It's like Point Crow, 3 other people and the bouncer. And I walk up and the bouncer sees me and goes, Linkus and Point Crow? This dude is a massive fan. Somehow this massive southern bouncer of this bar is a huge fan of me, Point Crow, and Small Ant. And I'm like, no freaking way. So he's like, dude, holy shit, I gotta get a picture with you. So he takes a picture of us and he's like, dude, drinks on me. So he takes us to the bar and he's like, yo, 5 tequila shots for my friends. And they're just giving us free shots now. And I'm like, what the hell? Holy shit, what is happening? Now even more drinks. So now we're taking shots. Oh, man. Anyways, we're taking shots. We're talking with this guy. He's awesome. This bouncer was a total giga chat. And he was like, dude, I'm telling you this. I work here almost every day. If you ever come here, you and Maisie, literally walk up to me and I will get you free entrance forever. You will never have to pay admission to this place. I will forever let you in here. And I'm like, thank you. Holy shit. Dude, the VIP treatment. Anyways. So he has to go back to the work though. Like he hangs out with us for like 30 minutes, but then he's like, okay, I'm actually technically like, you know, working. So I have to go up and like, you know, be at the door, be the bouncer. So we're like, all right, thank you so much. He goes back. And at this point, you know, like, I'm getting there. Now, and then we decide, you know what? It is time to do what the responsible thing is for really drunk people. It's time to get in line for the mechanical bull, baby. That's right. So we get in line for the mechanical bull because I'm like, this is the best time to get in the mechanical bull. And first of all, before I even get on it, I gotta say, any European is gonna laugh at this because it's so American. Before you were allowed on the bull, you had to sign a massive waiver promising to not sue them in case you got hurt. Because in America, there's no such thing in the law as common sense, or like your own fault, I guess. So before you even could get on the mechanical bull, you have to sign this massive ass waiver promising that like, if you got hurt, you can't sue them. Anyways, so we get on and we're riding around, you know, we're like, you know, like we're having a good time. I did shockingly well. Like everyone said that I was on it for a long time. Pretty proud of that. I did a good job on it. And we were, you know, we were riding around and we just, you know, we had a good time. We had a good time. I was awesome. Right? Just going around, you know, just having a good time, you know, riding around this bull, you know, all things good, right? So running around, it was all good times. And after, you know, riding around the bull and stuff like that, a couple of the people leave. So, like, a couple of, like, the people who was gonna fly the next day leave at this point. So, you know, it'd be things like, you know, like, Aatrox, Stans, like, you know, those guys are leaving. Anyways, so... I keep drinking. I keep drinking, I keep having shots, and I just, you know, it's my wedding night, things continue, and then, you know, I'm talking to, like, Maddie, I'm talking to Maisie's family, and we're all having a good time, right? And Maisie keeps being like, hey, we should leave. And I'm like, just 5 more minutes. And then apparently it takes like 30 minutes. And then I meet up with her again. And it's like, just 5 more minutes. And it keeps doing. So eventually, right, we enter there. And it's like, I think once we got in there, it was around 10:30 p.m. Thank you for the 10 gifties. I appreciate it. But yeah, so once we got in there, it was 10:30. And at this point, it's like 2:30 in the morning. So they're like, okay, let's go outside. And, you know, like, let's go outside. We should probably go home. And everyone was like, Linkus, you're not going to drive. And I'm like, of course I'm not going to drive. Are you kidding me? Anyways, so I get outside. It's like 2:30 in the morning. I call an Uber. And I lean back on this, like, wooden pillar outside. And... I'm like, all the alcohol hits me at once I stopped walking. So I just collapsed. Maisie's exact wording was that it looked like my body shut down like an animatronic from Freddy Fazbear. I apparently just went... And Maisie runs to, like, hold me to not fall down. But Maisie can't hold me, so she calls over Point Crow to hold me on my left arm, and she calls over Abby to hold me on my right arm. And then Maisie walks away. And as Maisie walks away, my drunk brain is just like, oh my god, wait. Maisie's walking away and it's our wedding night. I'm gonna let her down. So I say in front of everybody, I'm shut down, I'm like drunk, and I'm like, Maisie, I can still do this if you're on top. In front of everybody, I'm just like, the first thing that hits my mind is like, wait, I can't let my wife down on the first night. And then we wait another like 10 minutes. The Uber finally shows up. And then the Uber shows up, and apparently so I'm gonna tell you something right now. Everything from like pillar until my room, this has all been told back to me because I don't remember all of it. So apparently, like, this is what happened. Okay, so at this point, so the Uber comes up, and once the Uber comes, Abby and Poincro are freaking out because they're like, wait, we cannot worry the Uber driver that Linkus is too drunk and he might throw up in the Uber. So they decide to make up a plan where Poincro is going to distract the Uber driver. So me, Maisie, and Abby gets in the back seat, and then Poincro goes in the front seat. And Poincro, also by the way a bit drunk, I should clarify, starts making up this whole story of how he is an aspiring actor living in LA, and I was an actor trying to live in LA, but I gave up and moved to Texas, and he's like, and this is a 20-minute Uber driver, I should clarify, and for the whole 20 minutes, he's continuously just making up the story of how he's an aspiring actor in LA. I did not notice until the next day because I just noticed they were talking. And the funny thing is, this Uber driver, he ate it up. I've never seen a more enthusiastic Uber driver ever because I think he thought that, like, Poincro was an actual, like, serious big guy. So, like, this guy was like, oh my god, who have you met? Who do you know? And, like, it was working. Somehow, this terrible plan is working. Anyways, did you bet Trippus room with Smant and Crow to see their side of the story in real time? No, this is Abby's story and Maisie's story, which were the two sober ones here in the group. This is not me. Trust me, I had no idea what they were talking about. I do not remember. Anyways, and then apparently, Abby was just scared that I was gonna throw up because I was sitting in the car like this for the first 10 minutes. And then, about 10 minutes in, Abby said this to Maisie. Oh, do I have some gossip for you? And, dude, it was like I'm a vampire from Twilight just getting a sense of blood. Because I apparently went from, like, being passed out dead to I heard that word and I'm like, gossip? And I rambled for the next 10 minutes straight about, like, all the gossip that I have charged up over the past year since not seeing Abby. I just apparently locked in, got, like, the most energy in the world, and just went on this gossip train for the next 10 minutes. Anyways, we finally get to the hotel, and I walk up to the counter, and I'm like, right before we get to the counter, I look at Maisie, and I'm like, what time is she? And she's like, 4, and I'm like, I got this. So I walk up, and I'm like, I literally do this. I throw my wallet on the table like this, and I go, I'll give you all the money in my wallet if you let me check out late. Although I will be honest with you, even if she took me up on that offer, I have $21, so it wouldn't have been a lot, but but anyways, nice, that's awesome, Eddie. But anyways, so wait. Where did my other 220s go? I just realized it's supposed to... Anyways, so... I just realized what I thought. I was like, wait, I'm supposed to have 320s. Anyways, so, hi, Abby. Anyways, so I got up to the... anyways, so I get to the hotel. Hi, Abby. I love you, Abby. Yeah, so anyways, so we get back to the hotel, and basically, Abby looks at me, and she realizes that I should not be the one checking in right now. So I give her my ID to confirm it's us, and then she hands us the room keys, and what happens is this. Maisie and I go back to the hotel while Abby finishes the check-in, and then Abby will text Maisie, so we have it in writing, so I can see it later on, the info. So basically, because this hotel didn't offer late checkout, they did come in clutch though. Basically, they said that what they allowed us to do since we just got married was they said this, that the checkout is at 12, but I marked it on your account so that your key won't work past 12, but as long as you leave before 2 p.m., and that's when housekeeping will come, you can stay in there. So we are able to check out late, which is really good. Anyways, so we get back to the hotel, and we go to bed, and I lay in bed, and I'm like, Maisie, I'm scared. And she goes, what? And I'm like, I'm scared that I might have a hangover tomorrow. And so I Uber Eat Taco Bell. And we wait for Uber Eats to come, and Uber Eats arrived like 30 minutes late, but at this point, more alcohol is kicking in my system. So I'm laying there in bed, and Maisie's having to feed me, because I don't have the energy to, like, eat the tacos. So she's literally, like, hand-feeding me to Taco Bell. So I'm laying there half-slouched over, and she's, like, feeding me the Taco Bell. Anyways, yeah, this is what you sound up for, Maisie. Anyways, so she does that, and then I pass out, and then I wake back up at like 6 in the morning. I think it was 6 or 7 in the morning, and the alcohol is starting to leave my system, but I'm still tipsy, and I start to feel a small headache, and I'm like, oh no, I know what happens next. So I got out of bed as quickly as I could. I had like chugged 2 water bottles. I peed, and then I was like, oh no. Even though I chugged 2 water bottles, I know what's gonna happen. I know I'm gonna lay back down, and then the next time I wake up, it's gonna be bad. So I lay down in bed, I wake up, and Maisie's awake, and Maisie looks at me, and I should clarify, we were supposed to go to Six Flags on Saturday. So she looks at me and she goes, hey, do you want to still go to Six Flags? And I'm like, like, no way, dude. There's no way. Anyways. But yeah, so that was not happening. And then Abby texts us at 10 and goes, hey, do you guys want to go for brunch? So then Maisie looks at me and goes, hey, Abby asks if you want to go to brunch. And then I say, there's no way. And she said, what about dinner? And I wanted to be sure that I put some pressure on myself. So I told Maisie to literally, like, repeat. I was like, Maisie, I need you to text Abby these exact words. And I remember the word I used. But I used, like, I don't know why, but I felt the need to make this text to Abby super professional with really fancy words directly quoted from me so that she knew that I would be ready for dinner. So I repeated this thing back to her. And then I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell you how I basically snapped out of it from being dead. And literally, this is all I did. And I promise you, this like made me feel so much better. I forced myself out of bed. I sat down in the shower with the shower on, and I just sat there for like 30 minutes. And something about just having the water running over my head, I can't explain it to you, but just sitting in that shower, just sitting there for like half an hour, just completely just brought all my energy back. It was like an in-between temp. Anyways, yeah, so I sat there, just was able to process everything, trying to remember the last night. Anyways, and then after that, we apparently had a note underneath our door from the hotel. They gave us a $75 voucher for breakfast or lunch because we got married, which was awesome. Holy shit, thank you, hotel. A $75 voucher. So we went out and we spent I spent, I think, $60, and then I gave like the person a $15 tip to like use up all the $75. Anyways, and then And then, yeah, I became alive. And then Abby is just the most amazing person on planet Earth. I could just, like, hug her and never let her go. She planned for, like, the last dinner we all had together with all of our friends to be at a rainforest cafe, which I'd never been to, which was so much fun. I had so much fun. I've wanted to go for so long. I did steal the points because I put it on my marriage rewards for even. That sounds fair. But yeah, anyways, yeah, so we went to the Rainforest Cafe, and then that's pretty much it. The only other thing that happened today, basically, in between, like, the wedding and today with me streaming, is that throughout this whole thing, I rented a car. Because I had so many people over, I rented a 7-seater, like, Ford Expedition, like this massive American car, so I could drive everyone around. So it was a 3-row, you know, it was a 3-rower. And literally, I'm not kidding you, 10 hours before I'm supposed to return the car, I lose my card. Because I cannot believe this is a design. You know how, chat, you know how, you have, like, think about, like, the middle console between the two front seats, right? You have cup holders, and then you have, like, a little part in front of the cup holders, and then you have the dashboard. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So you have dashboard, a flat place, and then 2 cup holders. So I did a drive-through. I quickly got the receipt and my card. I put it on that flat part in front of the cup holder, and then I grabbed the drinks. And then, right, I was just gonna drive away and then put my card back. Apparently, in this Ford model, they left a little gap in between the flat part and where the console starts. That's thin enough for cards to slide under, but not your hand. So when I accelerated, the card went whee back into the car. Now, this pissed me off so much that I Googled it. And I found out that this is a known problem on this model of Ford for years, and Ford does not want to fix the hole. I literally found a video with 12,000 views, hundreds of comments, explaining how to open up the side panel plastics to try and get access to the back of it to be able to get what you're missing. And I'm like, how is this design flaw not fixed? Anyways, so I am, like, so mad. I'm like, oh my god, I refuse to lose my car before this trip I'm about to take with my dad. So I literally go to Walmart this morning before returning to the car to buy the specific random 7mm screw that I needed. Anyways, I go, I buy it, and I'm already, like, late in returning the car, and I got out to the car, and I go up, and I'm like, oh my god, even though I bought the 7mm, I hate America, even though I bought the 7mm screw extension for the socket and the screw, the handle, I bought the American version, not the universal version, meaning that the actual thing that I bought to fit the 7mm doesn't fit in it. I fucking love America. Freedom units, baby! So, at this point, I'm like 20 minutes late to return the car, and I'm like, dude, I'm not paying for a whole other day. So I had to lock my card and order a replacement, because that card is gone. And I literally jokingly told Maisie, I said, I promise you I cannot have been the first person to put cash, a card, a gift card, a receipt, or something there that slid under. So I would have loved to actually open that side door up and, like, put my hand in there with a glove and just, like, see what the hell has gone there. Because, you know, that rental car had, like, 45,000 miles on it. So, like, there is definitely a lot of people who must have lost stuff there. But anyways. And then, yeah, I go to the rental and tell them to open it. I told them about the issue. And do you know what the car rental place said? They said this. That's typical Ford. For about 8 years straight, in the Mustang, there's a huge gap where people constantly are losing their cards at, and they refuse to fix it. Anytime people bring up, like, maybe this next year model is going to fix this massive gap, they put their hands up and they're like... and they don't fix it. So it seems like Ford just loves their gaps. Anyways. So, yeah. But either way, and then here I am. I'm back to streaming. But anyways, I will say this, even though I obviously got very drunk towards the end of the night, I'm very happy. The wedding was fantastic. I love Maisie. It was so fun to see all my friends. And if you join midway through the story, I'm just going to tell you right now so you don't think so, in case you didn't hear the beginning. I chose not to drink any alcohol to get drunk or even like tipsy throughout the actual wedding. It was the after party after it was just me and Maisie and her friends, right? Family had already gone home. So don't worry, even though I did get very drunk, it was literally at like the after party. The actual like ceremony and reception, I was a good boy. But anyways, it was an awesome time. I had a good time. It's gonna be awesome. Now I can finally do what I've been wanting to do my whole life, which is I can finally fully embrace the American diet. Finally can stop worrying about it. It's time. Now there's no need to worry anymore. I've been having to keep it in check for so long, but now it's finally time. Did you fall from the bowl? Well, yeah, they go for an unlimited time until you fall off. Who had the best dance moves? I'm gonna be honest, I think my brother probably had the best dance moves. I don't know if people will agree with me there, but if people saw him, he used to be a partier like crazy before he joined the Swedish military. So like before he, my brother was kind of like a bit of a rebel in the family who would just like not, you know, like he would just, you know, like work and all his money was intended for partying. And, you know, then he joined the military and now he's a, you know, he's a dad. But up until that point, so I was going to say, I think he probably has the best dance moves because he's good at it. Ford really loves gaps. Can't confirm because my father works for Ford. Yeah. I will say, I really loved driving the car. I am going to tell you, the next car I buy is going to be a big, proper, full-size American car. Right now I have a mid-size. I need a full-size. It was so great to have a big car. It felt so awesome. It felt so great. So next time I'm going to buy a full-size, tall-ass one. Like, I'm maybe not a truck, but definitely maybe like, maybe something closer to like the look of a Jeep or a full-size American SUV. I want to buy something like that. The only thing I will tell you, though, is I refuse... I refuse to get a Ford. The only reason I don't want to get a Ford, and people are going to call me lazy for this, is that their smart features, I'm sorry, but they're not good. Like, I've tried a lot of cars at this point, and I'm telling you, their stay in the middle lane assist is not good at staying in the middle. It kind of feels like you're driving a ping pong ball. Does that make sense? The sensors, even on this fully spec'd out model I rented, kind of does like this. Does that make sense? So like it will try and go into the center once it hits the line, but then it will overcorrect and go this. So if you don't actually like hold the wheel to fight it, if you have that feature on, it's gonna do this. I know what I've had. I think the best that I've tried, I haven't tried a Tesla. I'm sure they're even better. But the ones I've tried that are traditional that I think are really good in the middle that I have tried. I think both Toyota is really good at it. I actually was surprised by how good newer Hyundais are at staying in the middle too. But for me personally, call me lazy. For me, having good centering lane assist is a crucial feature because I like to take road trips. And it makes you feel so much more alive because it's so mentally tiring to constantly have to pay attention to the road. So being able to just I'm not talking about looking at my phone. I'm just saying like, if you have one, you will know what I'm talking about. Even if you're looking on the road and having a hand or two on the wheel, you can just mentally relax. So that's the only reason I don't think I can get a Ford. I need a smarter system. Yo, thank you so much for the 20 gifties. Holy crap. The whole story as you experienced it and told it to us is the reason why we always have a place in my heart and why I love you. Thank you, Sasha. I appreciate that so much. So thank you for the 20 gifties. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Chris, for the 5 gifties and Voss for the 10 months as well. Thank you, everybody, so much. I will also say I finally understand now. I think Ford has been able to know how their consumers are. Because, you know, on adaptive cruise control, you can set the distance of how much space there should be between you and the car in front of you. Now I understand that Ford has looked at their consumers and gone, wow, all Ford drivers who drive these trucks love to ride people's asses. Because I'm telling you, even the furthest setting on that adaptive cruise control is closer than I would ever want to be at a 75-mile-per-hour highway, or even 60 miles per hour. It is crazy that the furthest setting on that adaptive cruise control is still so close. A car can barely fit in that middle. And the one setting that it comes on by default is so close that if that car brakes, you're smashing into him. Dude, what the hell? So I love that it's not even just the drivers who choose to not leave in a space when they drive a Ford big F-150 pickup truck, but it's also the cruise control doing it for you. But either way. But yeah, like I said, I will say this. Driving a Ford, it was spacious, it was awesome, and it felt great to drive. Smart features needs to get better. Their smart features are Pepega at best. That's my TLDR if you ever think about buying a Ford. I can't talk about the reliability or the longevity. I've never owned a Ford, I rented one. But that's my TLDR after driving it like hours a day for a week straight. But either way, that's it. That's my wedding week. That's what happened. And yeah. Some years ago, a dude driving the wrong way down a public road hit a bus and people, and they were blaming the bus driver because they're a bus driver. It makes you feel any better. I've never heard a good excuse. One time, me and Maisie were at a drive-thru, or we would buy a building that had a drive-thru, and literally on the road, even not only do you know you drive on the right side, but on the road, there are little arrows showing that this is this way and this is this way. There's arrows on the ground. And while we're driving here, a woman pulls up and stares us dead against each other, and she's on the wrong side of the road. And she rolls down her window. I roll down mine, and I'm like, hello? And she goes, you're on the wrong side of the road. And I literally point to the arrow on the ground, and I'm like, no, I'm on the right side of the road. And I point to the arrow showing I'm like, even the arrow on the ground shows I'm on the right side of the road. And because at the time me and Maisie had a Wisconsin license plate, she says, excuse me, but I am from here, okay? I'm from Texas, so I know that this is the right side of the road. And I'm like, bro, what the hell do you mean? You think Wisconsin's drive on the left side of the road? And there's an arrow there proving you wrong. Anyways, then Maisie rolls down her window and she starts to get in a screaming match. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I've seen how, like, Americans do with road rage. So I immediately go, Maisie, stop. And I just, like, literally go on the left side of the road to drive around her and go back to the right side. Because I ain't getting in that. I ain't doing that. Not in Texas. Anyways. But either way. Good times. So chat, anyways, now when we've gone through the whole story of the wedding week, today is not going to be a long stream, but we're going to do something that's going to be kind of exciting for some of you, maybe. So I am actually leaving tomorrow. Oh yeah, this is going to sound a little bit sad, maybe, for some people, but my dad is here for another week, and he just turned 60, so instead of me and Maisie leaving for a honeymoon to this week, instead, Maisie is staying home, and I'm taking my dad on a 60-year birthday gift to Colorado tomorrow. So tomorrow, I'm gonna leave Maisie behind in the house with me and my dad going to Colorado. Sorry, Maisie, but anyways, but either way, so gratitude, thank you, Divine, I appreciate it. But anyways, so Because I'm leaving and I'm going to be gone for the next 3 days, I'm taking me and my dad to Colorado. I told him I would take him anywhere in the United States because, you know, it's going to get harder and harder to go anywhere we want as he's getting older. I told him I could take him anywhere, and he chose Colorado. He wants to... He is so wholesome. Do you know why? What he said? He said this: I want to go to Colorado because my fitness app, I have been logging every run I have done for the past 9 years. And there's a map feature where you can see on a map where you have ran. And I want to have a little medal over the cliffy mountain, the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, showing that I ran there. So I want to go to Colorado so that I can have the medallion that I've ran on the mountains in Colorado. And I'm like, because he goes out to run every day. So that's what he chose, and that's what I will take him. So anyways, so because of that, today we're going to be both productive and entertaining. And so what we're going to be doing is not super long stream. It'll probably be another 2 hours or so. I'm going to be doing something special. And if you've seen the last few streams, you might know what I'm about to do. But Echoes of Wisdom is about to release very soon. Echoes of Wisdom is going to be releasing in only about a week and a half from now. So, because Echoes of Wisdom runs on the same engine as Link's Awakening, today I am going to be doing a no reset speedrun of Link's Awakening on the Switch, fully commentated, and we're going to turn it into a YouTube video for a speedrun explained. So we're going to do a speedrun explained, so like Link's Awakening speedruns are awesome in 2024, where we go over the entire speedrun and the glitches. Now, I will warn everybody about one quick thing. I'm going to explain a generalized way of how the glitches work that you're about to see. However, I will not be able to give you in-depth explanations on some of the glitches. Because, unfortunately, because it's harder to research Switch games, after I reached out to community members, what I was basically told is that for some glitches, there are theories and speculations into why they work, but they have no idea why it actually works. You know, it's not like Ocarina of Time where they can just look at the code, you know what I mean? So... or like the GameCube games, for that matter, at this point as well. So I'm going to do a full speedrun explain of what I'm doing, and most tricks are going to have a good explanation, and for some of them, they're going to be like more of a simplified one. But yeah, if you're hoping, I'm going to warn you right now, if you're hoping for me to talk about what happens in the game's code, I won't. Thank you, by the way, Burlington, for the 45 months. Congrats on the wedding, and more importantly, good luck on the run. Just kidding, the wedding is more important, I think. It's a good question. Let me think about that. I guess we'll have to see how the run goes, and then we'll know afterwards. Anyways. Because, you know, like, if this is a world record or anything like that, like, I think we all know the answer. But, like, if it's slow, okay, it's gonna be slow, then, you know. I'm gonna warn everybody one more time quickly, by the way. Also, wait, one more thing I want to say before we start this run. And I think everyone will understand this. I'm occasionally going to stop in the run just so I have more time to explain a glitch. This is a speedrun explained, not a PB world record attempt. Make sense? So if I come up on a glitch that's really hard and it's like a 3-second glitch that's so hard to see, I will like break it down as I'm doing the glitch. You know, I'm not just gonna like run into it. I'm gonna explain it, right? So just so you know, that's how the run is going to be broken up. And obviously, since you're watching this live, and I don't have the best consistency on this game yet, unlike Wind Waker, I'm also going to say, enjoy the repeats and outtakes, because you will sure see them. Okay, let me quickly set everything up with the layout while I am... before I start. Do a... Okay, I think what I'm gonna do is I think I'm going... Oh my god, that old copy pasta, I forgot. I can't believe this, but Chad, you're getting big. Okay. Then I need live split. Okay. And then I need to center my camera because I'm going to be sitting here and I'm slightly off camera middle. We need to minimize this a little bit and... Wait. Sitting here. Okay, so it would be like that. Ooh, I don't like that white light, actually. Actually, I'm just gonna move a little bit to the left. I don't like that white light. I take it back. Okay, I'm gonna sit here and do this. Okay, perfect. Can you push the camera up ever so slightly so it's not cutting off your hair? No. Okay. And then we just need desktop audio. We want mic. And we want the game. I need to mute that. And then we have mic and that. Okay. All right. Well, let's see if we can get a run going. I need to game over so that I get back to the... Wait, I need to do a reset anyways. I forgot they'd make you do it. Okay. All right. Well, let me go and pee and then let's start. Let's do this. All right, let's start the offline recording and let's do this. Okay, I need to think about how to do this intro. Give me 1 second. Echoes of Wisdom. Echoes of Wisdom is right around. Echoes of Wisdom is right around the corner. So what I thought I would do today. Echoes of Wisdom is right around the corner. So what I thought I would do today is go back to Link's Awakening and do a full speedrun explain to check out all the newest strats, glitches, and techniques that have been discovered in this game. Because if you don't know, Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom share the same engine. So I wanted to look over the speedrun first before Echoes of Wisdom comes out to see this is way too wordy of an intro. So I'm completely gonna scrap this. But this is awesome, don't you think? Echoes of Wisdom is right around the corner. So what I thought we'd do today is check out Echoes of Wisdom is right around the corner. So what I thought we'd do today is do a full speedrun explain of the newest route for Link's Awakening on the Switch. If you don't know, they say the same engine, so but I'm just gonna be in this screen. Zoe, when you're editing this, just put the gameplay from there of the intro opening up to match, you know what I'm saying. Anyways. Echoes of Wisdom is right around the corner. So what I thought we'd today, Echoes of Wisdom is right around the corner. So what I thought we'd today is go back to Link's Awakening on the Switch and do a full speedrun explain. Because a lot of new glitches have been discovered in just the past 1 or 2 years. And since they share... Echoes of Wisdom is right around the corner. So what I thought we'd do today is go back to Link's Awakening and do a full speedrun explain. Because a lot of glitches have been discovered in recent time. Echoes of Wisdom is right around the corner. So what I thought I would do today is go back to Link's Awakening and do a full speedrun explain. Because a lot of cool glitches have been discovered in just the past 2 years. And since the 2 games will share the same engine, I wanted to break down this game to hopefully give you a tease into what possibly could be happening when Echoes of Wisdom launches. So that being said, let's get into the speedrun. Woo! First try! All right. All right. I don't know why, but I could not pronounce the word same. I kept saying shave or shame. And let's start this. Thank you everybody for the congrats. Let's start this in 3, 2, 1, and go. All right, so starting off immediately, the early game is pretty straightforward, all things considered. We're going to go and pick up a couple of starting items that we need. However, what you might not have noticed is that when I started that timer and opened up that specific file, our first trick has already happened. Because this game sets an RNG seed or a luck-based seed that will determine multiple events throughout the game, like certain puzzle orders and the final combination to a puzzle at the end of the game when you boot up, and that stays throughout the whole thing. So by starting a game at a very specific time from boot up, you can guarantee to have certain RNG outcomes later on. So that's actually the first trick of the run. So immediately once we're starting off, it's starting off crazy. But either way, what we're going to be doing after that is, like I said, pretty straightforward. We're going to pick up the shield, we're going to run down here to the beach, and we're going to pick up the sword. I'm going to warn everybody, by the way, if you haven't seen a run of this before, it's going to be completely calm without many glitches for the first 10 minutes, and then crazy. All right. After picking up the sword, I'm going to do a short little animation skip right there by actually using my shield in the middle of him showing off the sword for the first time, just to save a couple of seconds. After this, I'm going to summarize this first part here. We're going to run over to pick up a mushroom in the forest. We're going to run over to the witch. After getting the witch, we're going to turn this random kind of raccoon into Mario, pick up the key for the first dungeon, and then finally enter the first dungeon where the run starts to get a little bit more interesting. Alright, so after picking up the sword, it's pretty straightforward here. I'm going to run through this first dungeon here. Alright, so after picking up the first sword, it's pretty straightforward here. I'm going to run through the forest, pick up a mushroom, turn it into magic powder through the witch, get the key to enter the first dungeon, and just kind of move along early game as fast as I can. Okay, if you want to use a shortened version, Zoe, you can use that one. And then I'm going to explain everything if you want to include everything here. Alright, so now on the way to getting up the first couple of items, this is pretty much honestly just running a lot of everywhere. We do have to hope for some good RNG when it comes to enemy patterns, because it is luck-based where the enemies will walk, so you're trying to hope for as much as possible that they're not going to be in the way, so that you can kind of run through it as quickly as possible. But if not, you can usually block them. Like right there, that guy was really close. I shielded him quickly, and I can pick up this mushroom here. You can also see I'm dodging, walking in like tall grass and stuff. It's just because you walk slower. We have a small micro optimization here when I'm pushing these boulders. So if you're walking into a boulder with a sideways angle, it's actually running a timer of you pushing it while you're walking, which just saves a little bit of time. But after that, we're going to run out here. We're going to go to the main overworld. Now we're going to run up. Hopefully we don't get hit by anything. Let's see. He's in the middle. Unfortunate. Like I said, the hope you have is that they don't go in front of you, but they're like on top, so you don't actually have to stop and like, you know, attack anyone. Unfortunately, did not seem like we had some good patterns there. What you might also notice immediately here is that this game is actually in German. Now, usually, if you've watched a lot of speedruns, you will know that most games takes place on the Japanese version. The reason why this is one of those rare exceptions is because the German translators messed up a little bit. So this whole game has mash text, meaning that the text box shows up immediately and instantly, so it doesn't really make a big time difference which language you use. However, when you beat a dungeon, and you'll see it later on, 2 screens are supposed to show up. First, a word, a little hint that's related to the game story, and then you're gonna get a more longer text box with a description. And every single language splits that up into 2 screens, which fades in and out and are very slow. But on the only German version, they, for some reason, summarized it into 1 screen. So it doesn't build that dramatic effect like it should. But that saves a lot of time in the speedrun, because it saves you about 5 seconds for every dungeon you beat. And since there's 8 dungeons, it's a pretty good amount of time save. Yeah. Also, hello, Mario. If this is the first time you're actually getting to see Link's Awakening, you kind of just want to check this video out before Echoes of Wisdom. This game has a lot of unique characters that's not seen for the rest of the Zelda franchise. So there's going to be a lot of, like, other assets that are non-Zelda related in this. So you will see a couple of Mario characters. You have Goombas in the game, Chain Chomp, stuff like that. It's a very, very charming game. It's one of my favorites for sure. So if you haven't played it, I really do recommend it. But yeah, once we got in the key now, I'm going to be running down here to the first dungeon. And this is going to be what I like to call like the last calm part. Because once we have completed the first dungeon and we get our first item, the jump mechanic, is when the game starts to get broken. Because once you can jump, you can do some crazy things in this game. And it's very thankful that it's the first dungeon item you get. So, it's not going to stay calm for too much longer. We're going to absolutely be breaking the order of this game very quickly. Also, I cannot hear that term German efficiency without thinking of, like, the Valorant quote. All right, and here's the first dungeon. All right. Now, thankfully, in this first dungeon, most of the items that are scattered around here are completely optional. So, it is, even though it's not glitch-focused at all, it is one of the fastest dungeons to get through. You only need one small key here to run straight away to go and get the feather. This is, you know, like your practice tutorial dungeon like every other Zelda game has. So, not too much going on, pretty straightforward. We're going to run up here. Here I'm going to do 4 slashes, and that is to actually time it so that this enemy... Don't include that in the video. It's supposed to make it so that the enemy is timed so that you have a perfectly optimal path. Anyways, once we get over to the top left here, I'm going to stun these 2 guys. Gonna throw some magic powder to insta-kill them. It just saves a little bit of time instead of having to use the sword. And then we can run over here. And here's our first Goombas. Hello. And once we get up here now, this is one of the coolest items in any game. Not for the glitches, even as a casual. I will stand by that the feather is one of the most awesome, greatest items of any game. I love being able to jump in Zelda games. But either way, you're also going to see something very cool here, which is that this game uses one of the best saving systems of all time. The autosave system in this game is handled so good, and I cannot wait for it to be brought back in Echoes of Wisdom, I hope. So right there, I didn't have to do like a save and quit, because anytime you get any sort of important item, it always autosaves. So I just super quickly right there, once I picked up that feather, clicked on load file and shows the last one, and it does it so fast, and you're immediately spawned back to the beginning. So you don't have to go through like anything special whatsoever. Someone fell down, nice. Okay, we're going to go back to the main room, and now once we have the jumping mechanic, I'm going to go up here and pick up the boss key, and that's literally it. That's the entire dungeon. Even though early game is never that fun for a, you know, Zelda speedrun specifically, thankfully in this game, in terms of a speedrun, it's only about 10 minutes long, which all things considered isn't that bad for when the run picks up. If you look at, like, Majora's Mask, for example, it's almost 25 minutes, so... It's not too bad. It's a good middle ground. Alright. Now, when it comes to the combat in this game, one very important thing is going to try and be stun locking, and the game really does try and avoid it, but if you time it perfectly, you can, and you do it right as the vulnerability frame ends, you can, like, get most enemies just stuck in corners. So, like, right there, that might look like I was just slashing my sword, but trust me, I was trying to time it there. Come on, I need that fairy. Thank you. So you can do some really cool strats with the bosses here. And now we're coming up on our first dungeon boss. So, mini-boss, first boss immediately. This is the boss I like to call Hamburger with Lettuce. It's my absolute favorite. Maybe not the tastiest burger by any means, but it's all good. Another thing that a lot of people might not actually know is that when it comes to quick spinning in this game, it's super overpowered because not only does quick spinning perform double damage, which is incredible, but because Link starts his spin on his side, if you angle yourself to an enemy, you can actually get 2 hits with 1 quick spin. Meaning that you can basically get a quad damage output, if that makes sense, in certain situations, which is how you can, for example, right there, 2-cycle that first dungeon boss. Without any basically glitches whatsoever, just very clever design. So, that's it. And that is 1 out of 8 instruments. The violin. All right. Now, first dungeon is complete, and the normal kind of expected route that you would imagine me taking in a normal playthrough is about to completely be over. So, if you play this game casually, you will know that right now after the first dungeon, I'm supposed to do my first kind of side quest or side adventure, whatever you want to call it. This game is filled with it. Most of the time, you can't just go from one dungeon to another. Usually, the format is one dungeon, do a side quest, then get access to the next dungeon. And in this case, I have to go and rescue Bow Wow. He's a beautiful chain chomp, and he's been stolen, and everyone is panicked because Bow Wow was taken by some moblins. Fortunately, Bow Wow is not going to be saved. Instead, we are going to be working with this rooster here. So, I'm going to pick up this rooster from the village, and I'm going to carry it all the way across the map. Now, I'm hoping... Stop. I am hoping that this will work well, because sometimes these roosters can be a little bit luck-based, but if everything goes smoothly, this should be good. So, I'm going to bring this rooster over here, and I'm going to throw him over this gap. Now, I'm going to go up in this corner and walk upright twice. And if I did this correctly, what's going to happen is the rooster is going to be over my head. I'm going to get eaten by the like-like. I'm going to get eaten by a like-like. He spits you straight up. But since the rooster is on top of the sign above me, he angles the projection. So instead of going straight up, I go up to the left because I cannot be going into, you know, the rooster's collision. And that puts me on top of these trees out of bounds. Now, I have to do this precise jump right here to jump over that gap. And now I can continuously be walking out of bounds. Now, hopefully I don't fall down here. Most of these have invisible walls that are quite tall. So I just have to follow along here and jump and just try not to fall down. And if I do that correctly, I can land on top of those spikes, go into the second dungeon, and completely skip all the additional quests related to rescuing Bow Wow. After that, we're going to enter a second dungeon. And hopefully... both didn't see me. That's unfortunate. You hope that... You want to hope that both of those see you so you can kill them in one quick spin, but that's okay. And, we're going to go up here and pick up some keys. And this is, by the way, why I'm so excited for Echoes of Wisdom. Because the collision checks and the physics engine in Link's Awakening is one of the most interesting ones that I've ever seen in a 2D game. Because it's not truly a 2D game, you know? It's like 2.5D, you know? It's like, it's an actual 3D engine, but played in the perspective of 2D. And let's just say what you're going to notice later on when I do some of the more crazy glitches is that them trying to make physics work with layers, right? You know, being able to be on a higher platform, lower platform, screen transitions, etc. had some strange consequences when trying to make the whole thing work of deciding, you know, what layer you're on in a 3D engine treated as a 2D game. Thank you, by the way, so much, Necro, for the 5 gifties. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to jump down here. You can't make this cycle here, so I'm just going to have to wait. And get up here. All right. Here you're going to notice another major kind of mechanic when it comes to combat. So normally when you slash this guy, a lot of enemies that are supposed to be harder, the way that the developers made it harder is actually really interesting. The way they made some of these enemies harder is by increasing the recoil that you get from slashing your sword on them. So by slashing your sword, you get recoiled so far back, you can't do a second slash. However, that recoil is heavily reduced if you're in the middle of the air. So right there, if you jump, you can get 2 to 3 hits in per jump instead of just 1 before you go way too far back. And that's what I do right there to super quickly take down the mini-boss and go up here. Now, this is when the route is going to start to turn very different from what you would expect. So I'm going to pick up this power bracelet, and once I have this now, I'm going to load my save and leave the dungeon. I'm going to have to come back here later. So we're actually not going to complete the second dungeon. So this is a half-completed dungeon now, and we're going to come back to it. Then we're going to go here. The main thing that we want to do right now and why we're splitting this dungeon up is because I'm sure you can notice something. This right here where you're watching is slow. And that's because we don't have the running boots. If you've ever played a 2D Zelda, you will know that one of the main kind of items you get at some point throughout it to make it a little bit faster, since you know you don't have rolling, is the running boots, or the Pegasus boots, whatever they call it in that specific game. And that's what we want to try and hurry up and get as quickly as possible. So we're going to try and do some glitches to break the order of these dungeons to get this item early. So the first thing I do, though, want to get is a couple of items. Unfortunately, I am broke, so I'm going to have to steal some of these items. So by making him look away and then going behind his back, you're going to be able to steal an item. Now, the next time you walk inside after you steal an item, he's not going to be too pleased with you. And he's going to get his revenge. But even though we do get a game over, it is still way faster than obtaining the necessary items to buy all the items. So, we're going to go down here, go up here, leave. And now we got both the shovel and the bow and arrow. Now, at this point, I have all the items from the shop that I need. And we are ready to start breaking the game. So, I'm going to activate this quick warp for later. And then perform a manual save because we're coming up in a major glitch right here. So, what I'm going to try and do, and I'll show you this right now. You see these guys that come out right here like this? If you didn't know, certain enemies cannot be killed with a magic powder. Instead, it stuns you, so you can like move them around like this. And I'm going to set up a glitch with this enemy. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run up, and we're going to wait until they're fully extended, and then we're going to throw magic powder, throw it, jump, and attack to push him up further into the air. And then by falling into the ground, I will respawn on top of him, because that's the only valid place to put Link. So what I'm going to do is he's going to come out here, I'm going to throw magic powder to stun him, and then I'm going to throw him against this tree, jump and attack him to push him up into the air. I'm going to go against him, and if it does it correctly... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to this spot, throw magic powder to stun both of them, and then I want to throw him against this wall, jump and use my sword to make him angle himself upwards. Then... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the spot. They're going to attack me. I'm going to throw magic powder to stun them. I'm going to line this guy up straight, throw him, jump, and slash while moving backwards so he goes further up into the air. And then by walking against him... Oh my god, what is happening? I need to do this fast, but I can't do it fast and explain it at the same time. This is miserable. Okay, I'm going to try and just talk faster. Okay, so what I'm going to do is make both of these guys come out, stun him, and then I'm going to do a bunch of things at once. I'm going to throw, jump, attack... I think it's that I'm pausing there, which you normally wouldn't do in the run. Alright, so I'm going to make both of them attack here at once. Stun, line them up straight. Then I'm going to throw, jump, attack. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make both of these guys jump out. I'm going to stun them, pick him up, line him up straight, throw him, jump, attack him with the sword to make him go upwards. Alright, so what I'm going to do is make both of them jump out, stun both of them, line them up perfectly straight, throw, jump attack him to make him go up into the air, and then I'm going to run alongside of him, and if I do this correctly, I will spawn on top of him. Then, I'm going to be walking down on his head, and if I did it correctly by jumping, I can land on the invisible wall on the trees because of how tall I made him, by setting him up by doing that jump attack, so he was angled like this. Then I have to walk on these trees, and hopefully if I time this jump right, it's kind of precise. I could make it across. So I'm going to stun both of these guys. I'm going to try and line him up perfectly straight, throw him, jump attack him, and slash with my sword at the same time. You know what? Maybe we should just use the first take. So I'm stuck for 3 minutes again. All right, so we're going to do both. So both of them are going to do an attack. I'm going to throw him, jump slash him. And then I'm going to stun him a second time while he's really high up in the air. Then by running against him, I will respawn on top of him. Then I'm going to run down here. And then if I line him up correctly, my jump will land on top of the tree because I angled him like this. After that, I'm going to walk on these invisible trees. And hopefully, if I time this correctly... Dude, are you kidding me? I'm going to jump later, and I promise it's going to be too late. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make both of them come out, stun both of them, and then I'm going to throw, jump, and attack at the same time, which will make him be kind of angled like this. Then if you walk against him, you will respawn on top of his back in the air. Then by carefully maneuvering down here, if I lined it up correctly, when I jump, I will land on the trees because he was angled like this. Then you can walk along these trees and then do a very precise jump here to land across this gap. And that jump is very difficult, trust me. After that, though, I can walk on top of these plants, jump down here, and immediately get the key to enter the third dungeon. Now, if you play the game casually, you know this would be another massive quest to get this. Normally, you'd have to go to a castle, get a bunch of gold feathers, etc., etc. There is a long quest associated with getting this key. So being able to get in here early is very essential for the speedrun to work. Okay, I'm going to change the strat for the future. I'm only going to slow down on glitches where I can. And if I can't slow down for a glitch in the future, I'm going to do it full speed quiet and then commentate afterwards and put it over the glitch. Does that make sense? Because I'm not repeating that for every trick. Anyways, after putting in the third key, we're going to run down here. I'm actually going to try and like run jump here just to cut down the wood, the like little grass so I can run faster. And we're just going to run around here to enter the third dungeon. All right. Now we're going to enter here. Now, once we're in this dungeon, before we even go into it at all, I actually need to get a couple of bombs. So I'm going to farm bombs here. Thankfully, it's super fast because the first pots here have guaranteed 4 bomb drops. So by going in and out, I can get 8, which should be all the bombs I need. And right there, after getting the 8 bombs, I'm going to go up. Now, this dungeon is one of the only dungeons that, in my opinion, have one of the weirdest layouts. Because when it comes to the layout of this dungeon, it has a lot of optional rooms. And what I mean by that is there are many sections of this dungeon which needs a key. And if you use the key, the only item you get back is another small key. So it's kind of a troll dungeon where you can be really fast and get through it and basically skip 1/3 of the dungeon without ever having to do anything. Or you have to go through every single room. It depends on the order. If you ever want to do this dungeon quickly and skip the optional rooms, just go right here. And you can get to the end, basically. You don't ever have to go to those other rooms, even if you don't want to do any other glitches. We will be doing a lot of glitches here, but that is the strat if you don't want to. Either way. Here, we're going to kill these enemies, get the small key, and this is going to be the only small key I need throughout this dungeon. Because we're coming up on one of the main mechanics of this game that is extremely broken. So I'm going to kill these enemies quickly, walk up here, and now I need to explain something. This is a 3D game, like I mentioned, in a 2D engine, meaning that the game has to, at some point, try and determine what layer I'm on. So it needs to know, am I on an upper layer like I'm on right now, or am I at the bottom? And these ledges that, you know, like, I'll show you right now, you know, you jump down here, right? These ledges can get quite broken. As you saw right there, I just tried and jump against a wall, and you might not have noticed it casually, but there's a lot of edges that are kind of funky. And the game will do its best if you get in between these kind of collisions of being in an upper ledge and a bottom ledge to decide where to put you. And we can abuse that to our advantage. So right here, I'm going to try and get in a very specific spot by doing a home buffer. Dude, come on. And if you do that correctly, what I'm going to do now is drop a bomb, pick it up, and now I'm going to try and walk off. And if I did it correctly, I will be basically in the middle of the transition of an upper floor and a bottom floor. So if I jump off right now, you're going to see that Link is going to be floating. What? Why did that setup not work? Wait. Spooky. Okay. Okay, and now you can see that the game is trying to decide where to put Link. Because it is trying to put Link right now while I'm floating at the closest valid collision. You can see that I'm just floating around right now. And this is basically me being on top of this transitional layer, trying to decide where to put me. And because I'm holding left, it's trying to slowly correct Link's position by putting me here on the left where the valid collision is. Thankfully, even though this is valid collision that it took me to, you might be able to see that it's on top of a wall that I'm not supposed to be on. So this allows me to walk all the way around and then jump on top of this chest, open it up, and immediately get the Pegasus boots, skipping a huge chunk of the dungeon. Once I have these boots now, I'm going to be able to break even more things. Because trust me, jumping with Pegasus boots is busted. So we're going to run up here and we're going to pick up the boss key. Now, normally here, you would need 4 small keys to get access to the basement, which is where the final part of the dungeon is. But you can actually repeat this glitch I just performed and get over to there once you have the Pegasus boots and the big key. So I'm going to re-perform the same setup here. Then I'm going to jump off here, turn around, go down left so I get on the bottom wall here. Gonna be floating here. Okay, and now we're back out of bounds. And then I'm gonna run over here where I was just at. And now I'm gonna try and jump on top of the chest. Then jump on top of these invisible walls here, jump down and skip the 3 other small keys. And that skips the entirety of the dungeon. Because now I'm at the bottom of the basement, and this is basically just where you have the boss door and the boss itself. So this skips the entire dungeon and makes... well, it makes it very fast. I don't even know what else to say, honestly, at that point. It makes the dungeon very fast, and that should just give you a glimpse into the out-of-bounds madness that is Link's Awakening with its 2D, 3D perspective, and why, as a speedrunner, I am so excited about Echoes of Wisdom. And if you haven't seen this speedrun before, I think you know now why, as a speedrunner, I'm excited. Because this is already a broken engine, and then you add on top of it being able to spawn objects anywhere, and I think we're in for a good time. Right here, there's also a quick strat here to killing this boss. If I jump and charge up a running animation while being in the air, he doesn't have time to move again, so I can just one-cycle him, like, super quickly. Because running with your sword with the Pegasus boots also performs higher forms of damage. Gonna pick up the heart. I'm actually gonna be picking up all the heart containers. Unlike other speedruns where even, like, you know, a world record might skip them, but new runners might pick up hearts. In this run, even competitive times, like the world record, gets additional heart containers because the final dungeons and bosses of this game are really hard. Like, usually, traditionally, 2D Zeldas are a lot more difficult than the 3D Zeldas. All right. Now, once I got the Pegasus boots, I'm going to go and unlock something for later. This is not going to be used for later, but there is a quick warp you can unlock here by the shell house. I don't actually need to ever go to the shell house, but this is close to both dungeon 4 and 5. So I want to make sure that I have this unlocked. And while I have this unlocked as well, I can warp back to the village. And it's going to be used for overworld fast travel. Then once I'm back here, I now want to progress a couple of things towards dungeon 4. So I'm going to go over back to the village and enter this kind of sleeping chamber. Thankfully, the short side quest before like dungeon 4 here is super fast. Well, one of them. There's two of them technically, but yeah, this first one. So by going to sleep here, a little bit of an inception moment. This should have a lot of rupees, and they should also have the ocarina, which can be used for playing songs, which is important to beat in the game, as well as fast travel, among many other things. So I'm going to run through all of this right here. And go up to this chest. Gonna get 100 rupees. And there's the ocarina. You'll also see me, by the way, slashing my sword a lot as I'm doing these running sequences. And that's just because I don't want to bonk, because bonking is really slow. So it's just a quick way to kind of like interrupt your movement midway through. But yeah. Now, once we're going to be heading over back to Dungeon 2 to finally beat the dungeon, we're coming up on another exploit. And this is another kind of a height one, and this one is related to staircases. So, I'm going to perform the glitch and then explain to you how it works. So this is basically how the glitch works, if you take a look right here. So you can see right now that I'm climbing in the middle of the air. So by doing a really difficult setup, by doing a slash off the top of the staircase when we should be doing the animation of climbing down, and then interrupting that and turning around and climbing it back up at the very top, the way you could imagine it is that the game basically extends the ladder invisibly above the normal staircase, so I can climb in the air above it. So now I'm basically climbing the ladder that's underneath me, but instead I'm climbing it in the air. And this allows me to jump to many out-of-bounds areas. So in this case, I'm climbing it to get on top of these trees, and this is just some really fast out-of-bounds movement. This is technically an optional one, but it just makes the movement so good-looking to get back to Dungeon 2. So that just gets me put back here super quickly without having to do all the, you know, shenanigans that's like in the middle. So it takes me quickly back to Dungeon 2. And now once I'm here, I'm finally ready to beat the dungeon. I'm gonna run around here. Gonna go down here. Now hopefully this guy doesn't have a terrible pattern. To get this boss key to spawn here, you need to kill these enemies in a certain order. If you haven't played this game before, you have to do bunny, then you have to do key, and then the skull. Sometimes the skull can like enter the area where the bunny is, and you literally cannot do it. Thankfully, we didn't get trolled that time, so that's very good. And then we're gonna go up here, and that's all we need. We got that one small key from earlier, and I'm able to skip the rest of the dungeon thanks to having Pegasus boots, so I can head straight to the boss room with just the boss key now. We can go down here. Now, getting Pegasus boots to go through this dungeon faster is not the only reason we wanted it. Because if that was the only reason, let's be honest, we would have just beaten the dungeon. The real reason why we actually wanted the Pegasus boots is because there is a glitch to clip out of bounds during this boss fight, which skips the boss fight. And this is one of the slowest fights in the whole game, but it requires the Pegasus boots. So once this fight starts, I have to make sure to never walk up or down, because I have to manipulate this guy to move into a very certain position. So I'm only allowed to walk left and right. If I walk up or down, it's gonna mess up the positioning. So I just have to do small steps left and right. And then I'm not gonna be able to talk through this, but I have to, because the setup is so fast. But I'm gonna try and basically do this, if you look at this. Got it. So what I did right there is I manipulated him to get at a very certain position, and what it let me do is bonk into him and recoil through the door. Once you do that, when you walk back in, because the game has already played the animation of starting the boss fight once, it will not replay it. Which lets me walk back in and just walk to the left, because it's the cutscene of starting the boss fight that locks the 2 doors. So let us walk to the left room and get what we now would be our 3rd instrument out of 8. Now I'm officially ready to enter Dungeon 4. Now, this is one of the longest dungeons to get access to, because getting the key to enter this dungeon is incredibly slow. And we do not want to take the time to do that. So we're coming up on a very difficult trick right here. Because you can see we don't have a lot to work with here, you know? In this flat area down here, if we go down here, this is where you put the key in right there. You see the little keyhole, and it would turn off the waterfall. You have to go up to the top, turn off the water. You have to go down here. You have to have a key. And it's just a whole process to go in many different places to get access to it. Well, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and do an air climb and then ride the invisible walls above. Because you can see here, this collision here, there's a lower part here on the left, and then there's this upraised part here. And they have different heights in terms of their invisible walls above. So I'm going to try and ride alongside this top invisible wall here. And then go down here. Didn't get it, unfortunately. If you are on top of those invisible walls for too long, the game will just literally give up trying to put you to the closest normal area, and it will just respawn you where it last knew that you were on, like, I guess, like a safe area, or whatever you want to call it. So this whole mechanic of floating while out of bounds is all related to the same thing, which is trying to figure out where to put Link so that he's in a valid place. And sometimes it works in our favor, and sometimes it doesn't. Let's see if it works this time. Okay. So now I'm past the tall invisible wall on the white part, and I'm now very carefully walking on the floor here that is in between the 2 barriers. And if I get this jump right now... Yes, okay. I can jump into the corner of the waterfall, clip through without landing on the water, and I can make it into Dungeon 4. And that skips the entire side quest of normally getting access to the 4th dungeon. Now, once I'm in here, this is another long dungeon. The dungeons in this game is generally really long, but once again, out of bounds is crazy. Here we're on a new example. Here, we have a floor here and a floor here that changes which floor you're on. So, thankfully, we can outsmart Nintendo. You normally can't run and jump, which gives you a lot of height, and kind of get around like that, because that would just not work. But by slashing your sword, you can change your angle in midair. So by running, jumping, and slashing our sword at the perfect time, right as we've crossed these, like, stones right here, we can land on the invisible walled slope that, you know, kind of keeps the bottom and the top layer apart. And we can ride this along to get over to this chest. Now, you can see that the game has a harder time to try and figure out where to put you when you're just sliding like this. That's also why we place bombs. So right here, I go here to place a bomb and pick it up. And this will make it so that I'm more kind of hovering instead of doing that kind of a glitchy motion I was doing earlier. It just puts Link in a different state. So now I'm going to try and get as close as I can by just jiggling my analog stick up and left, just a tiny bit, to in of bounds as I can, but still stay on this invisible wall. And if I do it right, the game is going to choose that, oh, the closest place where I can be, like where I can be on a valid wall is this floor right here instead of on the left. Then I can throw the bomb, jump across this gap, and now I can run alongside this. I'm going to stop here and pick up the bomb drop down here, and immediately pick up the boss key. And now we have officially broken most of Dungeon 4. So at this point, we're going to run here. We're going to pick up a small key. And we're just going to pick up as little things as possible to be able to beat the dungeon while still being able to end the flippers. Because we do have to be able to swim to enter certain areas of this game. So it is a mandatory item to get. There's a couple of items that you can choose to skip, but not all of them. So let's run through here. Now, you can partially stun lock this the enemy right here. Hopefully, I'm able to do it. Okay. You can try and get, like, try and get 3 hits in the corner here when he's turning around, but it's really precise with the timing. I was only able to get 2 of them in, but still a pretty fast fight. I'll take down the mini-boss, pick up the fairy. Please, fairy. Oh my goodness. You can see, by the way, that it almost looks like I am inside of the fairy sometimes, but I'm not able to pick it up. And that's because the fairy is trying to go up on, like, the higher, you know, like, floor or layer, whatever you want to call it. It's all a little bit strange how it works. But either way, we pick up the flippers, and here we're going to save and load and then exit. And we are not going to beat this 4th dungeon until the very end of the game. Because the quest that gets started in between dungeon 4 and 5, which is activated from beating dungeon 4, is one of the most restrictive quests. So if that starts, we have to complete it. We can't skip it. So the only way to skip it is to save this dungeon. And now, we can get the best song in the game. Ba-ba-da-ba. Ba-ba-da-ba. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Okay, then we're going to swim here, we're going to stand here, and we're going to play the song. Since the game never intended you, by the way, to be able to swim before removing the waterfall, the sides of the waterfall do not have collision, which is why you can just kind of land there. Now, after getting the flippers and having the warp song, I'm going to round down here, and this is the dungeon 5. So we're just going to go kind of in a quote-unquote intended order for dungeon 5 and 6. So I'm going to swim down here. And now we're going to enter here. Now, this is probably one of the few dungeons you're going to see me do, which do not actually use any crazy glitches. So if you want to see just like a very well kind of, you know, routed out dungeon without skipping the whole thing, this is going to be your dungeon of choice. So this one, we're just going to try and optimize everything as much as we can while still kind of playing through it, quote unquote, normally. I wouldn't probably call it normally, but it's not like a crazy glitch method either. Oh my goodness, I need him to like look away from me. There we go. Okay, we're gonna go to the left here. There's a cool little jump trick you can do right here. If you stand on this and then do a run jump, you can just barely make it, skipping that whole puzzle. So that's a cool little mini skip. Now, right here, we're going to push these 2 blocks to get a small key. And then, once again, I'm going to be... in this dungeon, I'm going to be using the autosave feature a lot to backtrack quickly. So I'm going to just get the small key and instantly load that autosave to put me back. And, yeah. This dungeon is quite confusing in a first playthrough. Not like the dungeon 7 or 8 would be, but I think this is the first dungeon that is legitimately a little bit of a head scratcher, like, whoa, what is happening? Because this is the first dungeon that uses backtracking, and it's not a straight path, which I know a lot of people online really like when it comes to Zelda games, so I know that people do like this dungeon. Now, here's the whole main concept of this dungeon. You see on the floor that there's one blue tile right here. So this skeleton can be in 4 different areas, and you have to fight him in the correct order. So it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you memorize it as a speedrunner, you can just run straight to them, so you never have to like note it down and backtrack. You can also see that I try and preemptively put out a bomb so I don't have to wait for it to explode, because I know when he's going to become vulnerable from hitting him. So I'm trying to time it to remove any downtime when it comes to waiting. So here we're going to run left and right. Push this block. Gonna stand on the switch to open it. Here's 2 out of 4. We're going to go to the right there, and that's just to pick up some extra bombs, because I'm sure you've noticed at this point, bombs is used a lot in this speedrun, so we definitely want to get some extra bombs. Going to take down these choo-choos. Push this block. Take him down. And here's the 3rd skeleton. You can see, like, once you memorize the route for this dungeon, you can actually make it very fast. Okay, we're going to load this. Run jump here, and now we finally get to basically where we started this whole thing, because this is where you start beginning the first small key, is also where the game developers put the 4th and final skeleton. So now we're finally, like, done with kind of all of this backtracking. So he's going to be played exactly like all the other ones. It is basically a repeat. It's a very strange game design, but it's fun at the same time. Gonna make it go down. And then we're going to pick up the hook shot. And now, once we have the hook shot, we are pretty much ready to beat the dungeon. We're going to go ahead and run and pick up the boss key and then make our way to the end. Now, there is actually one really cool speedrun trick left in this dungeon when it comes to getting to the boss as quickly as possible, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. But first, let's go and pick up the key. Okay, there we go. There's the boss key. Now, normally, to be able to get to the end of this dungeon, you have to get another small key and go through a bunch of kind of underground areas and a bunch of tunnels to make it to the very end. But that is very, very slow and not necessary. And this, I don't even know if I'd consider the skip I'm about to do a glitch. I would more consider this to be a clever use of intended mechanics. So probably more like an exploit rather than a glitch. So you can try this yourself if you want. It's actually not that difficult. It's definitely one of the easiest things I'm about to do in this run, and it's very cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to kill these enemies in this room. And then once it is all done, I'm going to actually get the fairy to spawn here. I'm going to be equipping my hookshot, have the feather, and then go in here. Now, when you play this game plays like a 2D game, right? So you can only walk in 8 directions, right? Up, down, right, left. Up, right, down, left, etc. Right? Only 8 diagonals. But the game, since it's a 3D game, can register all of them. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be looking up right, and then I'm going to jump and tap right on my analog stick. Because if you look here, this is the angle I have right now. But if I jump and tap right, very gently, I can hookshot this block. Because it gives me an in-between angle. Because when Nintendo tested that to make sure that that block wouldn't be accessible, they only made sure that it wasn't hookshotable with the 8 normal directions. So if you can get an in-between angle, you can hookshot it from the side. So it's super easy. That's literally what I did. I literally just jumped and tapped right in the middle of there to put me a little bit more right than upright. Now here is the biggest RNG element of the run. This guy can spawn in any corner, and you can get as many fake or real one of these as possible. So hopefully we get one that is on the other side and it's not a fake. Oh my god, please spawn on the other side. Oh my goodness! Alright, if you can get it all the way from the other side, you want to do this, by the way, because once you've attacked him more, he will have more fake, higher likelihood of having a fake head. Because if you do that correctly, then you just need a little bit of damage like that from a short distance to be able to 2-cycle him. So get him at max, this is the first time. Try and get as many hits in as possible. And then the second one, hopefully it doesn't take you too many fake ones. As you can see there, actually I had good RNG on that one. And then that's the boss. And that is the next instrument. A 1-cycle is possible if you set it up so that you got a double damage drop from the last enemy right before the boss fight started. The drops that gives you double damage or double protection is actually based upon kills and damage. Not just completely random. So you can, if you count your kills, set it up so so you can have a 1-cycle there, but it doesn't line up well with this specific route at all, so it's not even really worth going for, because you'd have to kill so many additional enemies for it. Okay, now once we have all of this, we're going to run to this side. And this is where we're going to get our 6th key, hopefully. Dude. Alright. Now, for these Stalfos enemies, you just need a bow and an arrow, and it only takes 1 arrow to kill them, and they actually always drop 1 arrow as well, which is very nice, because it means that I don't have to go and pick up extra arrows later. I can just stay at max the whole time by doing this. Go in here. Now, this is one of these bosses that I struggled so much with as a casual. I never understood this guy's, like, vulnerability window. But if you ever want to play this game again, you hold up a charge attack, jump, and then spin attack right as he starts to, like, move again. You can't do it too early. And then it's 2 arrow shots, and he's down. So once you memorize it, he's really weak. But as a casual, I died against this guy because I could not figure out how to get his armor off. But once you take him down, you get that. And now, I don't need anything else here, so I'm just going to warp away so we can head over to the 6th dungeon. This boss is very easy in LADX. Yeah, I heard that a lot of the bosses in Link's Awakening, the original version, had very bad, like, AI or patterns, or whatever you want to call it. That was apparently... I didn't play the original, but a lot of people have told me that most of the bosses were either barely moving around, or they would just move left and right, or they would just be super Pepega. But in this version, they actually made the bosses and enemies feel like alive, because that was one of the few complaints on like the original Game Boy version, I know. All right, now Dungeon 6. This is where I think that as a casual, I started to struggle a bit when it came to knowing where to go and what to do. This dungeon just very much confused me as a casual, I'm going to be honest with you. I had a really hard time with this. But unlike when I used to run this game a lot 4 years ago when it first launched, the newer routes today are some of my absolute favorites. Right here for this basement room, by the way, if you're fast, you can always make it right before this bubble face, or the cycle of that bubble enemy right there, so you can just run across. For these wizard enemies, you can use 1 bomb arrow to take down all 3 enemies. It's super clean. I love that strat. And then you can go up here and pick up the highest upgrade for the power bracelet. And once you have this one right now, the dungeon will be fully open up to you, because that's the whole main mechanic, is being able to lift these kind of elephant enemies here. Then I'm going to pick this up, run through here, and this room right here gives you some hearts, but more importantly, it gives you 100 rupees. You do need a good amount of rupees in this game. There's something later on that costs 300 rupees, so we try and get them in this dungeon, because these later game dungeons just have more rupees. Okay. I'm gonna pick those arrows up, go up here, kill these 2, go up to the top. Now here is when like the kind of shenanigans normally would start if you were to play this game casually, which if you haven't played this dungeon before, you need to do a lot of trial and error and back and forth, because you need to enter certain rooms when a switch is either up or down. And if you enter an area and you had it wrong the first time, you might be screwed. Thankfully, if you know how to do it, it's pretty straightforward. Now, I actually want to show you something before I do this glitch. This is one of the funniest misses that I've ever seen in what I call a developer shenanigans. So do you see this door right here? I'm just going to hold straight up and show you something. So the developers messed up and made this an upward slope. So you don't even have to try and do like a difficult glitch. And it's not precise either. I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna walk up here. And you just fly up. So this is one of these like out of bounds seams, but you do not have to do a setup to get on top of it. So I'm going to just technically line myself up here. And this is so I can drop a bomb to do some more stuff out of bounds. But I'm just gonna walk straight forward and I kind of fall into this door frame. Then from here, I'm gonna try and drop a bomb and then pick it up while I'm on this wall, so that I'm able to float more up here without falling down. Now, once I have done that, I'm going to be going to the left of this room right here. And you can see on my shadow that I'm slowly kind of going up here. And my objective is to get in the middle of the room where I'm actually standing on top of the barriers around the game. So now I'm at the very top, and I am good to go. So I'm going to run down. I'm going to run down. I'm going to run down. And now we get to our first room here. So here, I'm going to try and maneuver out of bounds. And you can see my sword here. It is actually not a lot of space up here. So there's only a very small part of the edge that you can stand on. And the rest does not have collision. And if I ever go to an area where I don't have collision, the game can't put me close to where I am. So it'll respawn me back to the original room I went out of bounds at. Then I'm going to walk to the very edge here because there's kind of a weird, awkward, invisible wall that's sticking up. But if I do that setup, I can walk up here. This is the room where the boss is. And then here is the instrument room. So that skips the entire dungeon. So we get through the whole thing, not having to worry about anything. Just pick up the item and then skip to the end. And this might look easy, but the out-of-bounds walks are all very, very precise with precise setups, so that you never get stuck with the weird out-of-bounds shenanigans. Now, once I'm done here with Dungeon 6, this is when the game really kicks up the difficulty and you have a lot of stuff to do. So, in the vanilla game here, you're supposed to go to Dungeon 7 at the top right, which requires you to do a long side quest to get a blue rooster. Once you've obtained the blue rooster, you go and climb the entire mountain, and it's massive. Trust me, it is big, and it is a difficult climb to get up. So many fake caves, and so many caves where the holes bring you back down where you already were. It's an absolute troll. Now, I actually will spawn this blue cucko, because believe it or not, this blue cucko is one of the most broken companions slash items in the entire game. But I will not be entering the dungeons in the intended way. I just want the blue rooster slash cucko for glitch purposes. Now, before anyone asks, because I'm sure if you're sitting there already typing up the comment, even though I know where to walk right here for the sign order, you have to go through the whole event. So it doesn't matter if you haven't memorized what the last sign should be. You do have to go through the whole thing. So you just got to run through all of this pathing here. All right. And there's the whole puzzle. Now we can go down here to the frog. Wait. Okay. We talked to the frog. He wants 300 rupees, which we have thanks to the 3 100 chests we picked up. And then we get our second song. All right. Now, after getting the frog song, we're going to go back to the village, and we're actually going to pick up the last song. This last song is unfortunately necessary to unlock the literal last boss of the game. You cannot skip it. This is how you activate it, even though it's not actually her song you play. So you do have to go through this one as well. So this is, I think, like, the best way I can explain it is this part of the run is very hard when you're on PB or record pace, because you're, like, nervous, right? You're towards the end. You're coming up on the hardest glitches, which Dungeon 7 and 8 have. But right before then, you have like basically a mandatory like 5-minute wait just going through all of these songs. All right. Exactly. It's calm before the storm. Exactly. Okay. You can also hear the panic music outside, by the way. That's because we never saved Bow Wow. So since he was never saved, the whole village will be in like constant panic for the rest of the game. But here now, finally, once we have the frog song, we're gonna rescue the blue rooster. Now, the blue rooster is, you know that like kind of air glitch I did where I can climb that invisible staircase in the air? The rooster basically takes those glitches to the extreme when it comes to messing with layers, because when you hold the blue rooster, you will float, and you can float over things, which makes it one of the most broken mechanics. And that's also why I will not be completing Dungeon 7 yet. I'm actually going to do Dungeon 8 first, just so that I can take advantage of the blue rooster for both of these dungeons. Because if I were to wait, then I would have to... If I were to wait, then I would have to do the slow climb to Dungeon 8. But first things first, I'm going to reset the camera into position by entering this cave. And now here, I'm going to try and do a very difficult air climb to the very top here. And this is very precise, but it's also very easy. If you ever want to try these glitches, you know, want to learn the difficult staircase one, this is very easy. I'm going to tap up, and then I'm going to pause and see when Link enters his animation of climbing the ladder. Once he does, I'm just going to hold up. And now I'm just air climbing. And now let's see if I can get this. What I'm trying to do is right as I get to the very top of the stairs, I have to jump and then move my analog stick like up, right, and then straight down very quickly in a very precise timing to get stuck on top of the invisible wall. And then get to this grass texture, slide on the invisible wall, and now I land here at the top. Now, once I'm here, I'm going to do a manual save just in case, because now I have to do the weirdest layer glitch imaginable. Basically, I'm going to try and make it so that the collision is almost like this. You could almost imagine it like disabled on this layer that I'm on right now, this top one. So it kind of has the collision of the one below, but I'm still flying up here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to walk down, and I'm going to do this weird setup where I want to jump off the ledge while holding the rooster and then get exploded by a bomb at the same time. And if I do it correctly, let's see if this works, I will be kind of partially in the ground flying around. And you can see, I'm just going to show you because it didn't work because I'm too far into the ground, that it tries to teleport me to where it thinks I should be, which is down here. This is where it thinks I should be. So I'm going to try and do this in a very precise timing because I need it to be so that the game thinks I'm on the down below surface, but high up on it. Because I need that guy right there, that enemy, to see me. Otherwise, I'm stuck out of bounds forever. And if he doesn't see me, then I'm screwed. So let's try this again. Okay, so now you saw me, so I'm going to try and stay under the staircase, and then I want to try and take damage by this guy. Oh no, I might have gotten stuck. Damn it. I don't actually know what was wrong with my position there of why I got stuck. I actually don't know that. That's a new one. You were too far south of the ladder in between the wall collision. Oh, so I was too far down, so I need to be higher up. Okay. I went lower down because when I was higher up, it wasn't hitting me, but I guess I went too far. Come on, dude. Oh no, not stuck. Come on, I was high up there. Why did that not work? What? There's no way that was still too far down. Come on, dude. Really? What is happening? Hello? Mod check? Oh, come on, that didn't reset my position. That's bullshit. I can go further safe to try and get his attention. Oh, really? Okay, I'll try that. Okay, so now I'm gonna fall down out of bounds here and respawn, and hopefully I respawn on the, like, out of bounds ledge by the ladder. And then I'm gonna pick up this bird and float on top of this. And now I am on top of this, and I am officially at the back entrance of Dungeon 8. Because I got hit by the enemy, which kind of pushed me out of bounds, but it respawned me on that ledge because it was technically valid collision. It just happens to be that valid collision is, you know, not where I'm supposed to be. And this, you can see, is way into the dungeon. This entrance right here, you are not supposed to be at yet. This is halfway through the dungeon to go out for, like, a little bonus thing. So this, because I had the blue rooster, skips going through the beginning of Dungeon 8, and it also allowed me to skip getting the mirror shield, since I used the blue rooster to get on top of the mountain. So I do not have to get a dungeon item to get here. Now, once I am here, I do have to still be careful, because this dungeon, like I said, is very difficult. I'm going to shoot this arrow to... I'm going to shoot this arrow to spawn that small key, and then I'm going to open up this little archway. And now when we have these 2 small keys, this is actually everything that I need. There's nothing else in this dungeon that I need, so I can immediately head to the mini-boss of the dungeon. Now, hopefully I get some good luck with this guy's pattern right here. This guy can be very awkward at times when it comes to when he wants to punch. And this guy also has a very difficult window for stun locking him. And if you miss it, then... Come on. Then he likes to do this. There we go. And now once I have all of this set up, we are ready for one of the hardest glitches in the run. So remember earlier how I've gone out of bounds? I have to go out of bounds here 3 times and then walk on one of the most broken out of bounds collisions in the game. So here we go. It's going to be a similar thing as the last 2 times. I'm first going to try and do an out of bounds here on this walk, on this little road like here. Didn't get the bomb. Then I'm going to try and go over here. And this is to try and get above this kind of like blue switches right here that is blocking my path, since there's no switches that are close to where we are right now to get them set up to the correct positioning. But we can get up here. Now, once I'm here, I have to clip up on the next invisible wall here. And we're going to do this so we can get on top of these rocks. Now, once we're here, I have to again do a out of bounds here to get on top of these blocks. Now, once I am finally here, we have one of the tightest jumps ever. So I have to be on this height, on these blocks I'm at right now. And I need to run and jump into the bottom left corner of this map. And the height and timing required to get this jump to work is very precise. So there's a good chance I'm going to have to redo this. So hopefully we can get this first try. Okay. Then I have to very carefully line myself up here. And if I go too far, I will get put back in of bounds. Because, like I said, these walls are not friendly. And we're going to go left here. We're going to jump over this door because the door itself has weird collision as well. Then we're going to walk up here. Going to walk right here. Walk up here. And then hopefully jump over there. Walk in here, and we got it. Okay. You can kind of see Link getting stuck on that. If he gets stuck like that for too long, it will put us back to the room where we first started. That was an actual first try, and that was very clean, and that skips the entire 8th dungeon. Whew. Okay. Very clean out of bounds walk. Super, super fast. By the way, I'm going to catch up on everybody in a bit since I'm doing commentary for the YouTube here. But thank you everybody so much for the subs and support. I appreciate it. Okay. Now once we're out here, you can see that I'm kind of just on top of like the turtle, right? Because I didn't properly open the dungeon. So now I'm going to be making my way over to the 7th dungeon. Now, there is 2 reasons. Yo, that's the bouncer? Holy shit. Welcome, bouncer, to the chat. Immortal. Oh, yeah, you did tell me your name. I remember this convo now. It's like a storm coming back. I said, come in my chat and tell me you're the bouncer. And then I said, tell me your username, though. And then he told me his username. And I said, okay, make sure to say something in the chat because I'm very drunk right now. But then he said Immortal. And I was like, wait, that's an easy name to remember. I'm going to remember that. Welcome. I'm in the currently middle of doing a commentary thing for YouTube. But it's awesome to see you here. Thank you so much for treating us kindly at the honk tonk. Anyways. Here we go. So, what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to push out this rooster here to this edge. And I'm going to do the same similar setup that I did earlier. But this time, it's for a much cooler reason, trust me. So, I'm going to place a bomb, run into the ledge, and then clip down out of bounds here. But this time, I'm going to do it to fall out of bounds here, walk to the right, and now, if you look... Okay, that's a first. Oops. Is my... Oh, I thought my game soft locked. Whew. Okay. Let's try that clip again. We're going to mess up the layers, but this time we're going to fly down here. We're going to drop the cuckoo here, walk up and then right. And now you're going to see that Link is walking in the background. Because all of these mountains, for some reason, have collision. So I can run around the massive mountain here with the egg. And then I'm going to walk to this rock, and I'm going to try and do a run jump to get back in of bounds. Almost had it there first try. I have to jump because this invisible wall here to, you know, avoid you from going out of bounds also is preventing me from going back in of bounds. So I have to try and get this jump. There we go. And now we're back into bounds, and we skipped all of the caves that you would normally have to go through to get here. I'm going to save here only because I have 2 hearts and I don't want to die, but it should be pretty safe from here. Then when I get over to this right side here, because you can see the wall is very tall, I'm going to go over here, and now I'm going to be doing a little bit of an intended strat. So this is why you're supposed to get the blue rooster to be able to enter Dungeon 7. This area right here has a big kind of an air gap, and you can't normally make it over the air gap unless you have the blue rooster. So once you get to this room right here, there would normally be no way to get here without it. And this is the game's way to make sure you don't sequence break. So we're going to go over here. And we're going to pick up the 7th dungeon key, and that's it. That is officially the final item that we need. Once we have all of that, we are now ready to head towards the 7th dungeon to beat it. Now, the right side of the mountain is still very slow to climb, so I'm going to do a little bit of a climb trick here to make this faster still. So instead of having to climb up all of this like it should be, I'm going to pause buffer this. I'm going to do an air climb, and then when I get to the top of this invisible ladder, I'm going to do 4 down right buffers. And then I'm going to fly right. And if I did the setup correctly... Damn it. I needed 1 more pause down. Okay. So I'm going to pause buffer this. I'm going to start an air climb with the rooster. And then I'm going to make sure to pause when I get to the very top. Once I get here, I'm going to do 1... 2, 3, 4 pauses down, and then just fly straight right. And if I did it right, I'm going to be on top of the invisible wall and get to this part right here. Now, remember earlier I mentioned that the game doesn't like when you're out of bounds, so it will always do everything in its power to put you back in of bounds. Here is the first time I'm going to use it to my advantage. So, I'm going to make sure that the game knows that I'm on a normal area here. Get the rooster up to the top of this arena. I'm going to fly up. And then when I get to the top here, and this is a short one, I'm going to fly down right, up right, and then when I go above this ground, I'm just going to drop the rooster and fall down. And once I fall out of bounds here now, the game is going to be like, oh no, where should we put him? But I remember that I stood on that collision for a split second, so it puts me back up here. And that is all the climbing on the mountains. That skips like probably like 10 or 20 different caves, and it puts us to the very end. And now we're coming up on my officially least favorite dungeon. I'm curious to see which dungeon chat found to be the most difficult, but I found dungeon 7 to be the most difficult when I play this game casually. This dungeon is so confusing. Like, the 8th dungeon is mostly as difficult. The 8th dungeon has not only a lot of difficult puzzles, but also it has switches. And if you fall down, which you have to at many times, it's not even like on accident, and sometimes you have to go down and back up. Depending on which way the switches were, it will either let you get access to the next area or not at all. So this dungeon was hands down the worst one in my opinion. And it's all because of this ball. You gotta bring this ball around, if you don't know, to break 4 different pillars. Because as you break each one of these pillars, you're gonna get this little cutscene. And once you have all 4 of them, the top of the dungeon will basically like drop down 1 floor, which is how you get access to it. So I'm going to start off by throwing the first 2 pillars, pretty straightforward. But once I'm at this point, I'm now going to try and speed up the routing a lot. So this is what I'm going to try and do here. I am going to try and clip inside of the ball. So I'm going to throw it, walk up, walk down, use a bomb to push it, and stay inside of it as it's being pushed. Then I'm going to try and line myself up perfectly here with my shield, because I want to push it again to the right, and it's very awkward to push this. And then by just jumping, I will get through with the ball without having to walk around, which saves me a lot of backtracking, trust me. And then I'm going to hit those 3 guys at the correct pattern. Oops, to spawn that chest. And then here, this is normally another massive backtracking. Normally, you'd have to throw this one over this gap. And then you have to walk all the way around, pick up the ball, walk all the way back. And it's just so much backtracking. So we're going to do everything in our power right here to once again avoid the backtracking. So I'm going to line myself up here and throw this ball. I didn't do it perfectly there, so I'm going to kill these enemies here. So I'm going to stand against this wall, tap a little bit up, walk right, and throw it right there. That's perfect. And then once I have that ball here, I'm now going to stand AFK in this corner and just enjoy my time. Thank you for the congrats. I appreciate it. And for the Prime sub. Thank you so much. The bouncer sent me a DM with the pictures. Yo, I gotta look that up. Let me look at that after this round, okay? I'm almost done with it. It's like 15 more minutes. I'm excited to see them. All right. So right here is the 3rd pillar, and down here on the right is the 4th pillar. But what I'm gonna do here, this is super clever. Look at this. This is not even a glitch. I'm gonna push this block to the left, and then I can pick it up in the middle there to get it through without having to walk all the way around a 3rd time, which is normally how you would have to do it if this was casual. Then once I've done that, I'm going to walk down with this ball. I'm going to line myself up in the middle of the room. And then I'm going to walk down, and I'm going to throw it right there. Forgot to break this wall. I'm I'm going to walk down, and then I'm going to throw the ball right in the middle to land here. Now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to push this block, and now I'm going to try and launch this ball. So I'm going to line myself up so that I'm right in the middle of this part here. Then I'm going to place a bomb, pick it up, throw the ball on top of the bomb, and walk in and out. And if I do it right, the bomb will push the ball and launch itself across that little gap. Once that is done, I can walk up here, throw the ball, and bam. That is all 4 pillars without having to do all the backtracking with all of the switches they're used to. Thank you guys so much for the well wishes. I appreciate it. Now, once I have this ball here, I want to get back as quickly as I can. And thankfully, there's another quick way to do this. Just walk in and out right here to be inside of this ball. Then do a jump. That will push you on top of this invisible wall here. And then jump, hold down. You can get over the gap without having to fall all the way down, then back up again. And that's literally it. That's all the pillars. I've now made it back to the very beginning / end of the dungeon with the switch in the right position. And all 4 pillars have been taken care of. So that's it. That's the entire thing. Now I can run to the mini boss to get the boss key and then be done with the dungeon. And I will tell you, as someone who ran this game when the game first launched, this route is so much better. This dungeon used to be like 10 minutes of running back and forth before we knew that you could launch the ball. It was very slow to run around. Even when you have the dungeon memorized where to go optimally, it's still so slow. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it. Pick up the boss key. Oops. Nice. Speed up. Run down here, run up here. And here is the final boss fight here. Let's climb up and do it. It's actually, if he does a ground attack, I'll actually be able to use my sword really quickly here since I got double damage. So we'll see how it goes. Nice, good RNG. Oops. Come on. Ah, unfortunate. All right, well, at least I got one in with the double damage. Oh, come on, dude. 2 in a row. Really bad RNG. All right. Not the best luck, but we'll take it. All right. There we go. I love you too, Z Project. You can climb down the ladder to stop the feather attack. Are you serious? I didn't know that. Is that faster? Holy shit. All right. Now, this, you might think that this is the last dungeon we had to do because we used to dungeon 8 and 7. However, if you remember what I mentioned before, I said that I could not complete Dungeon 4 because it activates a side quest that is non-skippable. And that means that dungeon is still not completed. And we have to complete all of them for the instruments, because otherwise you cannot break the final egg. It doesn't just look for, like, the final egg. You know, like some older games, OT, only looks for, you know, like the last medallions to beat the game. This one does not. It looks for all of them. So we do have to beat this dungeon here. So we're going to walk in here and complete the 4th dungeon now. And simply put, so you know what's going on here. So simply put, to know what's going on here, there is a ghost that spawns. It's a purple ghost, and he basically haunts you after you beat the 4th dungeon, and you have to bring him back to his, like, favorite spots so that he can, like, find peace in life. And he's gonna keep following you forever until you've done that. And it's quite a long side quest to do, and while he is following you, you cannot enter any dungeons, which includes the final egg where the final boss fight is. And that is why we make sure that we do not, at all, under any circumstances, beat Dungeon 4 before the very end. Because we cannot walk until, like, any section of the main, like, parts of the map without the ghost spawning. So we have to go straight from Dungeon 4 to the final boss fight without doing anything else. Because if we activate any events, then he will follow us and we will not be able to beat the game. You can also see this boss fight, by the way, here. A quick little fun fact. I'm going to throw some footage up on the screen. This boss fight is one of the easiest fights, but believe it or not, it used to be so much worse. On the original game, they just didn't give this boss fight AI. So he literally doesn't move. He stands perfectly still and you just swim and fight him. He does not move. He just stands there like a fish. So this is one of the most changed bosses. He's still easy, but it's no longer laughable where he's just literally AFK with no AI whatsoever. He's just standing there like, all right, attack me. He's more like a fish. That is not true. All right, listen. I've been forced to go fishing when I was young, okay? Trust me, they do not stand still for humans. I guess maybe Highlands are just different, but still. All right. Well, that's it. That's the final dungeon. Das ei Luft. Gut. Sehr gut. Alright. Now, after the 4th dungeon, all 8 instruments have been obtained. I'm going to play the song, and I'm going to work to Boris's hut, a.k.a. Dampe's hut. Shout out to the German. Boris. And, now we're going to go to the end. And if I go at all a little bit down here on the map, or left, the ghost spawns. So this is why we had to make sure that we had everything we needed at this point. So we're going to go up here. Talk to Dao one final time. Run up to the very top. I'm going to equip my instrument. And here it is. All right, and that's it. Now, if you've played this game before, you will know that at this point, I should not be able to beat this egg, because you have to get a book and a lens to be able to read the book to know the order for this egg. And it is different in between every single playthrough. Well, people dove into the code of this game when the game launched, and I'll like show a picture of like a website that basically goes into some details. So there's a couple of things that gets determined when the file is made. So that includes things like the Dungeon 4 puzzle, and it includes like how he does certain sound effects in the beginning of the game, and also this egg right here. So by doing a hard reset of the console and then making sure that you start the game at a very specific time, you can set up a specific seed on your save file. And that is what we have pre-done before the run started. So by going right, up, left, and then up, 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 we will get to the end, and it will be the correct order. So we do not have to get the book because of the RNG manipulation before the run started. Before I go further, I'm in like the end of like this commentary for I'm doing like a speedrun explain video. So hi Fur, I'll talk to you all in like literally 4 minutes. I just have to go focus mode for this boss. Thank you Fur, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for the raid. And then we get to the end of the egg. We're going to jump down. And once we get to the end now, I have to be full focus mode. This boss is genuinely really hard. I have lost PB attempts here to dying. This boss is so difficult. And even as a speedrunner memorizing it, it is easy to mess up. Trust me. If you play this game casually, you will know it's hard. Most people really want to get the armor for either double damage or double defense, and a lot of hearts for this. So for first phase, we're going to throw some magic dust on him 3 times. I'm going to try and make sure that I don't actually get hit by him jumping here. Now, for this next phase here, this is all RNG. So I have to hit him, and there is a small chance he can do a blue ball and a chance he can do a red ball. Red ball, I can damage him back by projecting it backwards. If it's a blue ball, then it will just get shot in different directions, and it won't work. Same thing as in A Link to the Past. So, let's see how good of an RNG we get. So far, there's 0 blue balls. 1, unfortunate. Okay, really good RNG. Okay, now here we have to start... We're gonna start doing some spin attacks here. And hopefully we can stun lock him here. Clean. We can get this face down. Here I'm going to do a spin attack, and then I'm going to be running into Ganon, because running into him gets you through his spin attack, which lets you take him down. Here I'm just going to stand in the middle. Oh, God. I'm going to stand in the middle. He's going to get faster for each hit and just continuously charge up spin attacks. Beautiful. Okay, and now for the last phase, I'm going to take out the bow and arrow. Now, I picked up a couple of extra arrows here, since this was a no reset run for the commentary. But in a real speed run, you really have to be careful with your arrow management. So normally, you would have a magic, like a magic, like wand or a rod. Sorry, a magic rod here. There's 2 things that can damage this boss: the magic rod and bow and arrow. Now, in the speed run, if you don't have at least 10 arrows to take this guy down, you will be soft locked, because you can't go and get any arrows, because it will spawn the purple ghost. And there's no drops anywhere where it doesn't spawn him. And I skipped the item. I skipped both the boomerang and the rod, which is the other items to deal damage. But that's it. We can take him down with all of the arrows. We get through. And then once we run up the staircase, it is time. Bam. And that's it. That is a full speedrun of Link's Awakening on the Switch. Incredible speedrun. It's super fun. Beautiful game. A speedrun of this is super quick. And, I mean, you can see how broken the mechanics are if you're able to get on top of a ledge. Because the game trying to decide if you should be on an upper ledge or a bottom ledge is super broken in this game. So let me tell you... Am I excited for Echoes of Wisdom when we can spawn objects manually anywhere we want with collision to gain height? Because unless they fully revamp this dungeon for Echoes of Wisdom, I promise you, there's going to be some crazy glitches in the next upcoming Zelda game. And trust me, There's going to be a lot of content on YouTube for that as well. I'm going to do a full highlight videos back to back to back within the first couple of days of the game's launch, releasing all the highlight videos of my first casual playthrough. I'm also going to be keeping us updating any major glitches that are found, as well as speedrun updates. So expect speedrun videos, glitch videos, and casual playthroughs of Echoes of Wisdom. So if that sounds interesting to you, be sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate that. If you want to see more awesome content, though, in the meantime, before Echoes of Wisdom, click on the screen right now for the 2 videos that YouTube thinks you're going to like. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Later, everybody. Bye-bye. I did it! Hi, chat. Alright, you know what? Except for, you know what's funny? Some of the harder glitches went super smoothly, and then one of the easier glitches early on in the run just went terrible. But, that being said, we did it. That was a good video. I think it's going to be fun. Speedrun Explained, Link's Awakening. And now I can turn alerts back on.
Man. We hype as solid run. So happy to see you live.
Thank you, Algie, for the 42 months. I appreciate it. And Fur, once again, thank you for the 300 viewer raid and for the congrats. I appreciate it so much. Look. Poggers. Ring. I am like Link, a happy man with a good life ahead of me. Is Macy still watching? I'm so scared, chat. I think she's watching. Did I sell it? I'm scared. Anyways, I'm happy I did this stream. I'm happy that I was able to tell my wedding stories. We did a full speedrun explained for the YouTube, and it's gonna be a good time. Thank you guys so much for showing up today and for being awesome. I will be sure to share with y'all a lot of the wedding photos once I finally receive them. But yeah, for now, you got at least 2 pictures on Twitter, and that will do for now. Can I tell you a super, super strange thing about specifically those photos we took there? I will forever... you know how, like... I will forever be upset about 2 things about the photo I posted on Twitter. 1, I can't believe she didn't tell me that this part of my hair fell down. I could have done this, and it would have been up. For that photo, she could have said it. Second of all... I'm kind of pissed. Because, like... Usually, I think, like, I'm one of the better looking ones in the photos. But, like, with Maisie next to me, I'm looking like a 1 out of 10 because of perspective. You know what I mean? Like, usually, I'm at least able to kind of keep up. You know, like, perspective-wise, I'm looking pretty decent. But here, it's like, what the hell? You should have divorced her for that. That'd be so hype. Yeah. You know what? I agree, Eric. Once we get all the wedding photos, because in comparison, I like compare, you know, like me and Maisie, she will make me look so bad in comparison that I should be like, Maisie, I can't take this. It's over. Also, I can say this out loud because I thought it, but I didn't say anything. And then Macy read a comment about this, and she said that that is the biggest compliment ever. And after she said that that is the biggest compliment ever, I feel like I can now say it out loud because I had that same thought when I saw these photos. because I'm curious if anyone else sees it. I've seen 2 or 3 people on Twitter say it, and I thought the same thing. So I need to know if you guys think the same. So what I thought when I saw this picture was that somehow, with how Maisie has like her hair and her smile there, she reminds me... Actually, wait, before I say it, does she remind you of any celebrity? I'm curious if anyone else in chat sees it. Bill Clinton, you got it. Okay. Okay, I could not stop thinking with how she had her hair and her dress in this picture that she looked like Sydney Sweeney. I could not stop seeing, like, I didn't see it at first, and then I saw it, and now I can't stop thinking that she kind of looks like Sweeney in this photo. I was like, oh my god, I didn't know if it was a compliment, so I didn't say anything. I think it's a compliment because, I mean, like, pog. But, yeah. Sheesh. Anyways. I'm more curious as to how Linkus can smile without pointing the edges of his mouth upwards. Okay, you know what? I can actually show you because my mom hates me and left this photo behind in my room. I'm going to show you / tell you right now why I do not smile with my teeth. So, I naturally don't like to smile with my teeth. I've always smiled like this. And anytime I try to smile with my teeth, like for example, at the wedding, I tried to multiple times. The way that I do it, if I have to, is basically, you know, like they have like a camera that's like taking picture. What I try and do is I try and like make myself laugh because there's a chance that a picture in the middle of me laughing looks like me smiling with my teeth. Now, let me show you the one time I tried to smile with my teeth. So, at my school, do you do the same in America where every year there's a school photo? Do you guys do the same where every single year you do a school photo? You do? Okay. So, my mom got really tired that every one of my school photos always had me smiling like this. So she told me one year, be sure to smile with your teeth. And it is the only time in my life that I've ever smiled with my teeth. And every picture is me grinning like this. Every one of the pictures is me like... Because I can't naturally smile with my teeth. So every one of them is like that exact emote. It is literally like the cringe emote, like Monka laugh. Every one of them is like... Every one of them is just me smiling like that. So anytime I have to smile, I have a picture right in front of next to me right here. Every single time I smile, I just, like, the way you can tell that I'm smiling, if you ever wonder, is the fact, ignore Oliver and Maisie in the picture. This was at a party. But anyways, you can see, focus. You can see there, I get that little, you know, the chin sticking out when I'm smiling. So if you actually ever want to know, like, if I'm really smiling, that's my smile. I don't smile with my teeth. I'm in the corner right there, you can see. I smile like that. That's how I smile. That's it. Anyways. Chat. Thank you guys for joining me for this amazing stream. I appreciate you all so much. I am coming with some good news and some bad news. The good news is that I don't have more guests planned. There's no more house to clean. There's no more moves. There's no more unpacking. There's no more events. And there is a brand new Zelda game coming out. Expect overtime link is on steroids. All right. I'm telling you, it is going to be content, okay? Streams, YouTube, everything, you name it, I'm going to be here. It is going to be so much content. Slightly bad news. My dad is still here for another few days. He's still here for this week. So the content will be picking up starting end of this week, early next week, and then go throughout the rest of September, all the way through October, November, because I don't have any other IRL stuff to do. So I'm going to not stream a lot for the next few days because I'm going to go to Colorado because it's my dad's 60th birthday, just turned 60. So I'm going to be going to Colorado to let my dad have a beautiful time in the United States. Actually, wait. Dad, are you watching the stream? Do you want to say hi? Oh, shit. Hey, you want to sit down and say hi to chat? Yeah, sit down and say hi to chat.
Hi. Hello, everybody or somebody that knows me. I'm Lincoln's dad. Vad fan har du kameran?
The camera's right there. Poggers. No, don't sit up. Don't sit up. You're going to make me look short. Slouch forward. Thank you.
Do I need to?
That's it. That's it.
Kind of crumble like this?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
all right.
it.
Forehead to everybody. Bye.
Bye. Anyways, that's it. I'm gonna go and he's so nervous. I know I kind of put him on the spot, didn't I? Anyways, but yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go and get some dinner. I'm kind of hungry, and then I'm gonna get ready for this Colorado trip. I'm gonna be back in a couple of days. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it so much from everybody in the chat right now who stopped by, who lurked, who watched, subbed, the bits, the gifties, everybody. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. I've been doing a lot of, I'm not going to go in a long speech, but I've been doing a lot of, reflections, this past week, as I'm sure you can imagine. And, my parents had some good speeches about the good old days, when I used to be 15 and stream Wind Waker in the middle of the night. And my parents were so supportive that instead of being the usual parents, which is to run into my room, scream, stop playing computer games at midnight, my parents were the Giga Chads who bought earplugs so they couldn't hear me because they didn't want to stop their kid's dream of trying to become a streamer, because I had to stream at night for the American viewers. So there's been a lot. I've been doing a lot of thinking about streaming, and I just want to tell you all from the bottom of my heart that I'm very thankful and grateful to be in this position, and thank you guys for being here, for making it possible, but more importantly, and this I think is the most important part for me of why I'm still doing it, after making content for, 14 years. Thank you for making it fun. I mean it when I say it this way. Have you ever opened up a chat and you're like, oh, the streamer's, decent, but man, can I not stand this chat? I never feel that. Okay, that's not true. If a brand new glitch gets found the first 3 hours of going live, when I get a question every 5 seconds how it works, that's the one time you can get on my nerve chat. But except for those 3 hours, I'm very happy. And I would not be having fun streaming. I would not be having fun streaming, and I wouldn't still not be doing it. I did it literally with making $0 from 2010 to 2000 and basically 17. I did it for almost 7 years, not making a dime because I was that passionate about streaming. And here we are, another like almost 7 years later, and we're still doing it. And I have so much fun, except for talking about manual super swim. I have so much fun. So thank you guys for being part of the journey. I appreciate y'all so much. But yeah, anyways. When we come back from this little mini break, right? Now I'm going to take my dad to the vacation. We come back and we do the grind. Let's just say this, chat, okay? Let's start a new chapter in the US with streams and YouTube and no manual super swim explanations. How does that sound? Let's do it. Anyways. But yeah, I'm going to be back in a couple of days. I'm going to be doing, I'm just going to tell, you know what? I'm not even going to hold you. I'm just like debate you. I'm just going to tell you right up. Before Echoes of Wisdom comes out, Link's Awakening speedruns, Wind Waker randomizers. Bam. That's it. That's the content before Echoes of Wisdom, okay? Link's Awakening speedruns, Wind Waker randomizers, Wind Waker HD randomizers to be specific. That's the content you're going to get for Echoes of Wisdom. And then once Echoes of Wisdom comes out, we're going to make a lot of content on that. So stay tuned. I'll be back. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate y'all so much. And yeah. Let's go and do a little raid because people asked for it. Just do a classic Franker Z raid. We do love a good old Franker Z here. So yeah, go raid Small End with some Franker Z. Thank you so much for watching. And I will see you all, you people, beautiful people, in a couple of days. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see y'all soon. Stay tuned for the YouTube video to be dropping within the next week or so. Later, everybody. Bye-bye.